All right. I think we should be going live here. There we go. And I'm going to get the Amazon stream cooking here too. Let me know, everybody, how my lip sync is. We'll do a little clap here, make sure you're hearing things properly. Because sometimes the lip sync gets messed up on the stream when I first start it. So you all let me know. And we'll get cooking. So in case you're wondering, so here's what I've been looking for a new GPU for a while. And I was like teetering back and forth. Do I get the 2070? Do I get the 2080 Super? And you know what? I figured that I would just get the top of the line. I've never owned a top of the line graphics card before. So I figured I'll buy the top of the line. And knowing that I just bought the top of the line, that means that this card will be obsolete by the time I install it in the computer later this evening. So that's probably what's going to happen. But yeah, this one's got, wait for my Amazon stream to kick on here. We're going to wait on the unboxing for about 10 minutes until we're live on the Amazon homepage. But yes, this card, I haven't even taken it out of the box yet. You all will be unboxing it with me. So yeah, this was a treat for myself. I gave myself a bonus. I'm a good boss, even though I make myself work like 80 hours a week. So it's got 11 gigs of GDDR6 RAM. This is the OC edition. It's got some lights in there that I won't look at. And yeah, and Hot Sauce and Video Games says that the 3080 Ti will be right around the corner. So that'll probably happen. Because you know what was funny was with the GTX cards, there wasn't a lot of churn on those. Those GTX cards were around for like a year and a half, 2 years. And I think this one has been out for about a year now. So I think that you know, it'll be the best for a while. And for me, what I'm looking for is VR performance. That's the big reason I'm looking at this. And I'm doing a lot in VR. I think I mentioned to some of you the other night that I need a new hobby because I've turned my hobby into my job, and I feel like I need something to not be this. And I enjoy what I do a lot, but I feel like I need an escape from my daily routine. So one of the things I've been thinking about is taking flying lessons, and there is a great VR flight simulator right now called X-Plane. It's been out forever, but the VR stuff is really good. And I was talking to a pilot friend of mine, and he said one of the great things about playing around with the VR sims is that you can get a good feel for finding the stable, you know, level flight in VR because you're immersed in the cockpit and it looks very realistic. You know, the things involving landing and some of the stuff that you feel as you're flying are not going to be accurately represented there, but some of the basics of just visually seeing if you're in level flight, for example, is something you can really do well with in the VR world. And my 1080 has been really struggling in that particular title and a bunch of other VR titles too. So that is the reason. And I thought, you know what? If I get the 2080 Super, I'll just end up upgrading it in a year or two. And I was looking at all the benchmarks for VR, and you know, this is the top of the line, and it's going to do what I want, and I think that's where I'm going to go. So we'll probably get 2 or 3, 4 years out of this thing, hopefully, and we'll see what happens. Now, my gaming PC is over here, so when we unbox this, we'll then put the gaming PC on the desk here. We're going to install the memory. The first thing I'm going to do is, or install the card. The first thing I'm going to do is run my 3D Mark benchmark so we can do a comparison with the 1080 card that was in it before. And then after that, we will get a couple of 4K games going on my 4K monitor, which is right over there somewhere. And then after that, I'll put the VR headset on and we'll play a few VR games and see how it does with that. That's my game plan for this evening. So yeah, that is what we're looking to do. So let me say hello to some folks. We have Wibble Fibble Arf Arf. Sam is here. Wants to know if I'm thinking of selling my 1080. I'm probably going to hold on to it because I do have an external GPU enclosure that I use from time to time. So I might keep that for a little bit. So I'll keep you posted if I decide to get rid of it. Flood of Sins is here, so we can say hello to him and we can start early. Yeah, I was a little bit late this evening because I was just putting the kids to bed and stuff. So that's that. Eric's Variety Channel is here. Yeah, people dislike whenever I schedule anything because they think it's a video and they go to it. And then it's what happens when I schedule a live stream is that I have all this automation that tweets it out and puts things out everywhere, and I think people see that thinking there's a video, and then they come and see a waiting screen. Beat to Baba is here, Hakura-san, all the usuals, the regulars are here, Chad Stevenson, Oliver White, nice upgrade he says, I hope it is. Hot Sauce is here, David Parker, Frosty Winnipeg, Anthony Bianco, Baris Kaya, all the regulars are in town here. Keith McDermott, Travis Rhodes, Eric Hubbard, Planet X12, Oliver White, Frosty Winnipeg. I said hello to you. Joel Stewart. Smoke Monster is here. He says it's a killer card. It is going to be totally killer, hopefully. Hopefully it doesn't kill my system. And we got Brandon Brown and Rakeem Iverson. And then Dennis is joining us on the Amazon chat, too. So we've got a whole big group of folks here this evening, 92 waiting. And it's killing me not to take this out of the box. This actually came in last night, and I was saving it, because I had time last night to actually get it going, but I was saving it for all of you. So we will take a look at that. By the way, I'm just killing time here because at 9 o'clock is when we go live on the Amazon homepage. So that is when we will start the show here. This gives time for everybody to come in. We have Damian Rickard. He's in Lisbon, Connecticut, not far from me. He's got a nice outlet mall there, just like I do. So it should be good stuff. And if you all don't know Smoke Monster, by the way, he's got a great set of things that he does for the retro gaming community. He's big into the Mister. And I will have a Mister video coming up this week because I got in that Legends Ultimate arcade cabinet, and they just changed a thing on the firmware. So now you can plug your Mister into the cabinet without any modifications and get the controller and the display to work with it. So you can plug your Mister in and use it on the cabinet. It works pretty cool. So that is probably going to be Sunday's video. Eric Willard is here. He missed the last few of my live streams, but he's in early now because we're starting right in about 4 minutes. So so let me tell you, because we just got a comment here from Style Freaks, and I'll tell you what I've got for specs. So if you go into the description, you'll see what my PC currently has. Now, a few months ago, we did a live stream where we upgraded my PC. So I had a, gosh, I can't remember what, I think it was like a 4th generation i7. What was that? I forgot the code name for that. But I had a 4th generation i7, and I had the 1080 on that one. And what we did is we upgraded the CPU to an i9 9900K. I think that's the right number. Let me make sure, because I can never remember the number of the CPU that I have. Yeah, I have the i9 9900K. That's an octa-core chip, so that should be fine. I have a Maximus 11 Hero motherboard from Asus. I have 16 gigabytes right now of DDR4 RAM, and it's 2x by 8 gigabytes. We have the dual channel going. And that's DDR3333, and I've got it clocked to wherever the people on the last stream told me to clock it. We've got the new 2080 Ti that's going in, and then we'll be using the Oculus Quest tonight for some of the VR testing. So that's what we've got. And I've got the CPU with a Corsair liquid cooler, and it stays nice and cool. And hopefully this card will keep itself cool too. Dennis in Amazon chat here says that he has a Radeon 7870 from 2012. Hey, you know, if it works, it works, you know, so that's where you go. So I actually was going, I went a really long time on like my 980 something or other. So if it works, why upgrade? And if you're doing 1080p, you don't need this for 1080p. You need it for VR and 4K. That's why I got it. But if you got stuff that's doing fine at 1080p, keep it. No need to upgrade. People upgrade too often. I think you can get by with what you got. Haswell, Anthony Bianco says that's what I had before. Hot Sauce says the i9 shouldn't pose any bottleneck. We'll find out. But I think it should be just fine. And I want to thank Chanflay98 for a super chat contribution. So thank you very much for that. I appreciate it. It's going to take a lot of super chats here to get my money back on this one. This was about $1,200. Right now on Amazon, it is $1,213. So it is pricey. Patricia Diaz is wondering, is there a big difference between the 2070 Super and the 2080 Ti? There is a bit of a difference, especially on the VR. I looked at the 2080 Super initially, because that was more in my desired price range, around $800. But this one, I think it's like 20% or so faster on some of the VR things than the 2080 Super is. And that's why I'm choosing this one. Feral Sparky upgraded, Hot Sauce is a Radeon 6850. Feral Sparky upgraded his GTX 970 to a 1070 for better VR performance, and he just got into 1440p, 144 frames per second gaming. Yeah, once you buy the monitor that can do a higher frame rate, you'll definitely be looking for a little more horsepower to drive it, and VR certainly does that. All right, so we are about 30 seconds away from the start of our Amazon homepage placement here, and once we show up there, we'll start taking this thing out of the box and give the Amazon viewers something to see. And if you want, you can go click on the link you see in the description, and you can watch me on Amazon if you want to. And we do these a lot. In fact, I'm going to be back on in the morning, actually the afternoon. So I'll be back on around 1 p.m. Eastern Time, 10 a.m. Pacific. I'll be broadcasting here on YouTube and on Amazon on the homepage. And tomorrow, what we'll be doing is we'll look at I'm going to be testing out 2 laptops. I'm finishing up, and I'll probably shoot the review tomorrow morning of the Asus TUF laptop. That one is a really reasonably priced gaming laptop. It's got 120 hertz display, speaking of high frame rates. What I wanted to do was just get in a pair of RAM for it because it's configured single channel, and I wanted to see how it did dual channel because it does have a Ryzen CPU, but it has an NVIDIA GPU, so the differences with the RAM may not matter as much there. And then we'll also be checking out the Motive, I believe, the Motive Ryzen laptop, that $300 one that everyone's talking about. I got one of those in. It's actually waiting for me at my mailbox. So once the RAM and that come in, we're going to work on that as well. And that should probably fill the 2 hours that I'll be doing tomorrow. So we'll be on from 10 a.m. Pacific to 1 p.m. Pacific. That's 1 p.m. Eastern to about 3 p.m. Eastern. So tune in if you are around. Okay. Well, we are live on the Amazon homepage, so I am going to begin taking this thing out of the box. So let me hit the record button. I'm actually going to be recording a video while we do this stream. So I'm going to hit record now, and I'll get to your comments in a bit after I finish this up here. So let me hit record. 3, 2, 1. All right, so let's take this out of the box. Here we go, folks. So we're going to open it up and try to keep the box in pristine condition because I have a feeling a couple of years from now I will be selling this as I tear the box open here. Let's just get it out this way. It's really kind of tight here. And we'll have a look around and see what they include inside the box. We'll do my overhead view here so you can get a better view of it. And this is how you know you're getting something fancy. You've got gold print here. We've got a CD-ROM. I have no CD-ROM player, but we'll download those drivers and some instructions as to how to set it up. So we'll put those aside. I'm sure we might need to refer to those. And then we have a little cable tie thing. And then we've got the card itself. There's not much to see in here, folks, just the card and a little cable tie. Holy mackerel, this thing is a monster. This thing's got to weigh about probably about 2 or 3 pounds. This is heavy. Like this is pretty bulky. So let's get it out of its thing. Let me just ground myself here and make sure we're not gonna zap anything. I gotta put my wristband on in a minute here. But I'm just gonna open it up and just have a look inside here and see what we've got for the card. And hopefully everything is in good shape. We've had a few live streams over the years where things came broken. So hopefully everything here is in tip-top shape. And let's just get the wrapping undone here. Now this thing has a switch on here, which I'll show you in a second. I was reading the instructions a little bit earlier. So here's the fans. This is a really monster card here. Look at these heat pipes in here. There's like these big, if you can see them. Let's see, there you go. You can see those pipes running through there. This is a monster. Now there's a setting on the top of the card here, and there's a little printed thing. It's hard to see on camera, but it says performance mode or quiet mode. There's an actual physical switch. And of course, I'm going to set mine to performance, which means we might hear a little bit more fan noise. But if you wanted it quieter, you could switch it over to quiet. And it looks like you could just get at that on the top of the card here. Now for power, this might be something I've got to spend some time on here. We've got 2 power connectors here, so this is going to use a lot more juice than my prior cards. So that is something just to keep in mind. I think I've got a 750 watt power supply in my computer now. Hopefully that's enough. So now what we'll do is we'll get my computer out here on the table. I'll let you know what the specs are, and then we'll get this card installed. All right, let me stop the recording real quick, and I'm just going to add this to my thing here. So Smoke Monster's saying that his 980 Ti is getting killed by the VR. It's killer. And it's gotten more strenuous because the Oculus Quest and the Vive Pro are all running at a higher resolution than the first generation headsets were. Not substantially so, but enough that it's starting to feel the burn. And some of the manufacturers or some of the developers, they're putting more into their games now too, which is having an impact on it. So we got another couple of super chats here. Josiah Guernsey, thank you very much for your contribution. And yeah, hopefully we'll see what happens. Eric Hubbard says you have a 600 plus watt. Yes, I believe I have a 750 in here. Let me just double check. So I'm going to get this on the table now, and we'll see exactly what I've got inside. I'm almost positive I put a big one in here when I built it initially. So this is the case that we had. And let me see what I've got for a power supply. I think, you know what? I almost want to say I did upgrade the power supply at one point. I can't remember. But we'll find out. Let's see what we've got. So I've got a 750. So hopefully that's enough. And if it isn't, let me know before I get through all this. All right, so the first thing I've got to do is get some more power cables. Actually, it looks like this one looks like I might be able to get by with this. I've got one here. We should be in good shape. Okay, so I think we're good on power. All right, so let me get my overhead view here going. Now, in the Amazon chat, some folks are asking, Brody here is asking, what card would be good at a price max of $250? And I think I think it's the 1650, right, folks? That is a pretty good value. So let me know if that's a good recommendation for Brody. Style Freaks has the same Corsair carbide case. Yeah. Now listen, you're all going to complain about my cable management. I know I got a problem, but I've never been good at cable management because I'm too impatient. But at some point, we're going to redo the cable management on this system. So Chad Stevenson says, look for a 1650 or a 5500 XT. So those are some recommendations for you there. And have a look. I should probably put a few in there. Brody wants to know if an MSI 1660 is okay. Yeah, I've been very impressed with those because I think I was testing a, I'm trying to remember which one I had. I think it was a 1660, and I remember it getting close to the 1070 in performance because it's a newer card. And I think it's based on the new architecture, but it doesn't have the ray tracing. David Parker, thank you very much for the super chat. And we're just going to get the I'm just going to get the screw undone here a little bit so we can start that process. Just going to loosen these up a little bit. So I'm going to start recording here. It looks like we're getting a lot of people saying the 1660 is good. A newer card, better performance with the CUDA cores. So there you go, Brody. I think the 1660 is good. MSI is a pretty good brand. I think you should have a good experience with that. So go for it. That's great. It's great, though. There's some really nicely performing GPUs out there that are more affordable. I'm just going to get my camera's exposure tuned up a little bit here. I'm going to put a little bit more light on that. Okay. I'm just waiting for this case here to fall over on me. Okay. Let me just myself grounded again. Okay, and we're going to do a little recording here. 3, 2, 1. All right, so we've got our PC out here on the table, and remember, we did upgrade this recently, and I'll give you a link to my video in which we did that. It was a live stream. It was a lot of fun to do. Now, what I'm taking out of here is a GTX 1080 card that I have, I think I got around 2 or 3 years ago. So we're just going to get this one out. By the way, in case you're wondering what the specs are on the system currently, we have an i9 9900K processor. Some of the stuff in the case I had from the prior build. So I kept the liquid cooler here, for example, and the 750 watt power supply. Hopefully that should be enough for this project. We also have 16 gigs of RAM in here, and then the 1080 that we are taking out will be replaced by the new 2080 that I just purchased. So I'm just going to pop this out of here. And this card's pretty beefy on its own, but it's amazing how much more horsepower we are putting into the mix. This card's pretty heavy, but again, the new one is a lot heavier. So I'm going to set this one down over here, and we're going to move the new one here into position. And hopefully it fits in the case. I may have to move some cables around. Now, one of the things that I will say I don't do very well is cable management, as you can see. I'm going to have some challenges here getting this large card in here, so I may have to adjust some of these cables to fit everything in properly. One of the things you should spend time doing is getting these cables out of the way, unlike what I have done, just because it improves cooling and, of course, makes it easier to fit your cards in. So I'm going to take a little break here, and what I'm going to do now is do a little cable management so we can fit the card in and continue the project here. All right, so let me pause that real quick. Put the card back down there, and we've got to do a little cable management, folks, or at least move some cables out of the way. And this motherboard doesn't lend itself well to this either because of all of the stuff here that's like popping out right in front, including the main power cable. So what I might have to do, there's always something, isn't there? So what I might have to do here is route this power cable under and up so I can get the card in here without that cable in the way. So that might require a little bit of extra work here. And there's your lesson on proper cable management. It made sense at the time, but so Super Cyan Commenter is wondering, why do I need a 2080 Ti? Well, you don't need, in fact, I don't need anything really. But you know, my philosophy, and often the advice I give to people when they're buying computers, is get the best you can afford. And the reason is that more often than not, you'll get more life out of your purchase. And you can see what I'm doing here, folks. I am just trying to get this stuff moved out of the way so I give you something interesting to watch. You get a lot more time out of your purchase if you don't have to keep upgrading it. And so my philosophy has always been, you know, is to get what you can afford and get the best you can afford, because you'll have a lot more life out of that particular purchase. And I've done that with my Macs, for example, that I use to edit on the channel. All right, so it looks like I gotta get this in like so. Okay, so it's kind of in the same footprint. So like, for example, the Macs that I use to edit video on the channel, they last a long time because I buy, you know, the top of the line one, or close to the top of the line. Now, granted, Apple now has like a super expensive top of the line machine, which is out of my price range now, but back in the day. All right, let's see. This is a really tight fit, and partly because there's a bunch of cables in the way, so I'm going to see if I can move some of these cables around. And it's hard because it's not an easy place to put these cables either, so that makes it a little bit different. Clifford wants to know if I've done a PC build on the channel before. Yes, I have. In fact, we did two, at least two. Actually, we've done more than two. We've done quite a few. So if you go to my Livestream archive, Lon.TV/Livestream, live streams, I should say, we have this PC actually as part of that. That's in that stream. And we have, by the way, this is funny. I actually routed this cable properly, but it's popping out right where the card's going to go in. So we did that one. This one, we did the original build way back in 2014. And man, I got a lot of heat on that one because I was not building this PC to the specifications that some people thought I should have as far as my cable management, as you can see from what I'm working on currently, but also just my overall build skills here. I'm a very utilitarian builder, so for me it's like, look, if it works, I'm fine. I believe and really appreciate good cable management. I think it looks beautiful, but I also want to give people something to watch as opposed to me routing cables all night. So what I will do later is get these cables organized in a better fashion so that it'll be a little bit easier to get airflow through this case. Okay, there we go. All right, we got it in here. This thing takes up a lot of room. It's a lot larger than the card it's replacing, so that is good to go. Okay. All right, let me just hit the record button here. 3, 2, 1. All right, I got some of these cables moved out of the way, so we're going to now just get the card seated in the slot. It looks like it's in there now. Let me just double check. Yep, I think we are good. So we're going to get that going. That is in. Now the next step here is to get the card screwed into the case. I've got a few of these screws here to do that, and then we're going to get some power hooked up to this card. Now my prior card, let me zoom in here so you can see what I'm pointing at. The prior card that we had on here only had one power connector. This one actually has two, 1, 2, so it's going to be consuming a lot more power than what I had before. And that's another area where you want to make sure your power supply is adequate for the task. And I've got a 750 watt power supply here, a Corsair, and viewers watching the live stream think that should be enough. So we'll find out if we're looking at that power supply overloading. We will certainly find out about it. So I'm going to get this card screwed in, then we'll connect up the power, and then once that's done, we'll bring the monitor over and boot it up and see what happens. All right, so let me just get these screws in. Yeah, so Mr. Walrus says, airflow should be fine with the cables like that. I don't have a massive CPU cooler blocking things. Yeah, and then all the airflow is going for the CPU is up there. And then we'll have the fan, the big case fan will be drawing air out, so I think we should be okay here. But yeah, this is a monster. I can't believe how much bigger this is. It's pretty darn big. Okay, so let me get this in here. Yeah, Brody's mentioning that it is flexing my cables a bit, so I'm just going to make sure that I've got everything okay here. Looks like we're okay, because this is just the cables flowing through. I just want to double check and make sure it's seated properly. It looks like it is. Yeah, I thought this case was going to be more than big enough, but it's really pushing the limits. This actually reminds me of some of the old PC cards I used to work with, back in the day. So I used to have, at my dad's office, we had a bunch of these AST 286s, and they had the big MFM controller cards and these huge hard drives. I think I still have them at my mom's house, actually. I have to check and see. They're really getting back to the ages of big cards again. So let me get this. This case is so hard to work with sometimes because the way this card is situated, I can't get my fingers in there to get the thing screwed in. Hikuru-san worries that the cables are too close to the fans. Yeah, they are a bit close, but I think I've got plenty of clearance here. We'll certainly hear it if they rub. But I think I might, maybe the next thing we do is get a new case. Let's get like some super big open air case to move all this stuff to. So initially I went with the Corsair stuff just because I said, I'm getting a Corsair cooler. May as well get the, I'm just pulling out the little spacers here for the video. This card also has a USB-C port on it, but I don't think you can connect your VR headset to it. All right, so we got one little problem here. This screw is not going in. So let me see what's going on here. Nothing's easy in the PC build. See, if I do this like not live, then it all goes in smoothly. The card's in perfectly, but the screw here, because of the angle, just is not going in right. Now back in the old days, I would just say, screw it, we'll just boot it up. All right, there we go. Let's get that in there. All right, I guess that'll hold. All right, let's get this next screw in. And it's really challenging because you have the card here kind of hangs over the side there. So Jared says it's made for VR. I wonder if we should try to plug the Oculus into that and see what happens. So I don't know, does the Oculus Quest support the virtual link? Is that something that it supports? Because I'll totally plug it in there if that makes more sense. Yeah, these screws do not want to go in very well. Part of me wonders if it's not seated properly, but I'm seeing it's totally seated in there. Okay, good there. All right, so now here's a question for my gurus out there, my PC gurus. I have these two connectors. I'm assuming I can use these off the same connector off the power supply. So this splits out, but we should be okay with that, right? I think that'll work. Yeah, and Eric Hubbard says, nothing like an audience to make things go less smooth. Oh, exactly. And the worst part is that I am not the most confident PC builder. So I get very self-conscious doing these things because I know there are people watching who are far more skilled at this than I am. And they will tell me that they are as we do this. So, all right, good. Everybody's good on the splitter there. So let's do that. Okay. Here we go. Everybody's good? Okay. Let's go see if I missed any good comments here. Yeah, Kin Gaming says I should clean my cables. I am totally going to do that. Now, granted, if you watch the live stream of the initial build, I also promised to be doing that, and I never did it. So take that with a grain of salt. I think we're okay on the cables here. The worst part is that all of my SATA connectors are now directly under the card based on how this motherboard is laid out. So if I have to add another hard drive, I'm going to have to take the whole card out to get one of those. Or I guess I can probably get in on the other side of the case, so that's probably what I'll do. 3, 2, 1. Okay, so now we're going to connect up power, and I've got a power cable on my power supply here that has the right number of connectors. So we're just going to get both of these hooked up. Again, this is like double what my last card was using, so this is going to definitely require more juice than the original. And that's one thing to keep in mind when you are buying a high-end graphics card, is to make sure you've got a large enough power supply to handle it all. So what I'm going to do now is just get the rest of the power cables connected here. And the next step is we'll put the case back on, as I mentioned before, and boot it up. So stay tuned. We're almost there. All right. Let me just grab that recording and throw it on the mix here. So I'm doing some recording for the video as we're going. Let's see here. Oh, you know what? I did a couple of these already. So let me just do this one here. 302, card part 1. 303, card install. Oops, install part 2. And then we've got 304, card install part 3 and part 4. This went from being a 1-part thing to a 5-part, 4-part thing. What I'm doing here is just getting clips logged for editing later. Because if I can get a video out of this, I've got another video. And what's been really fun about doing these live streams, I haven't done a lot of live streaming before, is it's given me a good window into the viewership. So some people really like this slow-paced PC building kind of stuff. You know, others just want, give me like my 10-minute video to figure out exactly what you just did and let's be done with it. So it's been kind of fun to see what people's preferences are within the audience. All right, so we're going to connect those power connectors. Now, I've heard a couple of things in reading the Amazon reviews that there's a lot of coil whine out of this card, and that wouldn't surprise me. I had some on my old card too. I think it's hard not to with all this power going through this thing, and of course we're running it in high performance mode too, so that's going to have a bit of an impact there. I'm just trying to get this last connector in here. Got to get it lined up just perfectly, but it's not going in. See, I struggle with the simple stuff. There we go. Okay, so that's in. All right, one last check here. I think it is good. I'm not seeing any of the leads. Oh, you know what? I don't think it's totally in there. Hang on a second, folks. Just in checking it again, it looked like it might not be totally seated. Let me just take a light out here. Where did my phone go? So Jason just brought a 2060 KO. Can't wait to build it. Yeah, building this stuff is a lot of fun. You know, one of the things that I get a lot of satisfaction out of is when I build a PC and it works on the first try. So what I'm doing now, I'm sorry to block your view. Let me go around the other side so you can just get a good look at this. What I'm doing now is just making sure that the card is totally seated in the slot here. because it's really hard. Yeah, it looks like it's in there. Okay. I'm not seeing any leads, so I think we're good. Yeah, we're good. Amazon has a good return policy, but I always like to do proper work and make sure everything is in good shape. Because back in the old days, in the 90s, when I used to build PCs more regularly, they were less forgiving than they are today. So you would have things catch on fire. The magic smoke would come out. Okay. And Brody says he thinks my PC is better than most. Now it is. It wasn't before. So for a while, like I said, I was using the Haswell. So I built the Haswell machine in 2014, and we got like 5 years out of it. I was really happy with it. In fact, it was still performing fine. And the reason for the upgrade, there was a specific thing that kind of forced me to do an upgrade, and I can't remember exactly what it was. Actually, it was the VR stuff. That's what it was. So yeah, now I remember the whole chain of events. So I had bought the Vive Index, which is the Valve Index, which is the Valve VR headset, and that headset can run at 120 frames per second. Actually, it goes up to 144 frames per second, which is crazy. And what happened with it was that my computer was not keeping up with it with the 1080. And I could not, I just needed to upgrade, and I couldn't upgrade the way I wanted to with the motherboard I had. So, oh, it was also RAM speed, because that was a DDR3 machine, and DDR4 was what everybody was saying I should have. So that was part of the reason. So I got the new motherboard, the new processor, but I kept the 1080, and planned on upgrading it later, which I am now doing. All right, so we're going to get the computer just kind of situated here on the floor. And now I'm going to go get the monitor and put it on the desk here. Jason in the chat is also a fellow 90s PC builder, and he had a Voodoo card, which I had also. And those were really the first, there was a couple of 3D cards that were out before, but that one was really the first that started to set the world on fire. They were amazing cards. All right, so I'm going to plug my monitor into the power strip. And the computer, I'm going to give it its own leg on my plug molding over there, because I do not want to blow a fuse tonight. I have done that before. All right, so we're going to plug in the display port. I think, here we go. All right, display port is in. That's HDMI there. Okay, good. All right, so we've got the display port. That's plugged in. Now we're going to get the power cable, and we're going to plug that in. And I'm going to put it on a different leg. So that leg. Because the last thing we want to have happen here is for the circuit breaker to go on us. So we're going to plug that in. And then we have a few other things to do here. So let me get you my other view. Get the monitor situated here and zoom out a little bit. Austin is joining us on the Amazon chat. Welcome. So we just got all the hardware installed. And now we're going to boot it up here in a second. We're going to get my keyboard and mouse out here. So we're going to go do a little Corsair action. This is an older keyboard. Remember when they had done that crazy logo? So I have that. And I'm just going to plug these in the back, because my intention here is to plug the VR into the front. Okay, so we got that going. And I'm going to plug in my network adapter here too. And we're good there. And if you want to see what's going on here, I don't have a camera angle on the computer on the floor, but I think what I might do is get my iPhone out, and we'll do a little NDI action here. So let's do that real quick. Boating Dave is here. Welcome. My father's a big boater. I learned my lesson from him to not do boating because it costs a fortune. not, you know, I could be building PCs or doing boats. I guess it's all a matter of what's relative, right? All right, how does that camera angle look, everybody? And I'm going to take a little break from the Amazon chat. We'll continue to stream here. I'm just going to pull up my NDI camera on my iPhone so that we can get the view of the computer as it boots up. So bear with me here, folks. And we're on camera. Oh, we already got camera 7 ready to go here. Perfect. Okay, so let me get camera 7 up. Pardon the mess. I did a lot of cleaning today, by the way, so I'm really proud of myself. All right, so the computer is now reassembled. And let me hit record here. All right, now this is the moment of truth, everybody. Hopefully this works. I'll get to some chats in a minute, too. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, and we're going to hit the power button. Okay, wait. I didn't hit it yet. All right, so we're going to hit the power button now. Let's see if it comes on. That's Oh. All right, one more time. There it goes. It's funny, it did that when we first installed it initially. It kind of like did a fit and start here, but it looks like everything is starting to come up. And we've got the monitor here hooked up as well, so we'll see if that video card gives us something to look at. And it looks like the monitor just came on, so I think we are in good shape. Yeah, here we go. It's starting to boot up. So now what we'll probably have to do first is install some drivers because I still have the 1080 drivers on from before, and undoubtedly we will need new, more up-to-date drivers. So once this boots up into Windows, we'll take a look and see what we need to do there. All right, there we go. And Windows is getting ready. Austin says he's late to the stream. Do I have to install the drive? Yes, exactly. That is exactly what we're going to do after this update is done. All right, so it looks like we can plug the Oculus link into that port there. And the only challenge with that is I don't have a cable long enough to do that. So I might go with my other cable for now, but we'll definitely try that out in a little bit. Travis Rhodes wants to know what drive am I using for the 4K discs. I have an LG drive. That's what I'm using now. And that one's actually on my Mac. So I do all my... So the drive in here is an older LG drive. It just does the 1080p ones. Isn't it funny how there's always a Windows update when you least need one? Yeah, when I got the message earlier this week, I put it on... I said, shut down, update and shut down. That's what I told it to do. And it's still doing stuff. Austin is on Amazon is admiring my collection in the background. Yeah, this is all this stuff. This is all my stuff from when I was a kid. Actually, well, some of the stuff is newer stuff. But the Sega Genesis, that's my original one from 30 years ago. Good stuff. One day we'll get a bigger trophy from YouTube. We're on the 100,000 trophy back there. All right, so... Let's see what happens here. Now, somebody was saying, let's see, someone was asking about the drivers. Yeah, I'm pretty sure the RTX drivers are different than the GTX drivers. But one of the helpful things with NVIDIA's stuff is that they have a really great utility called the GeForce Experience. It just grabs whatever it can work with. So some folks are asking how things are cooled. So my CPU is water cooled. I have that Corsair water cooler. It didn't require me to do any plumbing of my own, which is why I got it. And the case and everything else is air cooled. And actually that Corsair, it looks like I have to vacuum the case out a little bit. That Corsair has fans on the top. So we'll take a look there. Austin's heading out. Boating Dave likes my old iPod back there. I've got a bunch of old iPods kicking around the house. So the water cooler, I don't know if you can see it inside the case here. Let me get it up on camera 7 again. So the fans for the water cooler are here on the top. And then the water cooler, maybe hard to see. See those hoses there? That's coming out of the chip. And it keeps it really cool. It's a very consistent temperature, even when you do one of those stress tests. It's usually pretty good there. And then this thing, who makes this thing? This is a neat little thing. So I've got these SSDs that I can just pop in and out. So that's pretty helpful because I have a bunch of games on, depending on what I want to play. So I've got that. I've got a NVMe drive installed. I think I've got like half a terabyte installed in it. Then, of course, we've got the optical drive. This is my older Blu-ray drive. It's a burner, too, so it can burn and read. And then we've got some more fans in the front here, and that big fan there. And it looks like our card is like, it's got some cool RGB effects there, the video card. So yeah, that's the case. And I kept the same case that I started with in 2014. And it looks like we're like hanging here on this update, so we'll see if I have to just reboot it here. But Austin's going to give us a sub. So he found us on Amazon. Some of you find me here and then go to Amazon, but some folks on Amazon find me and come here. So pretty cool. Yeah, so we're stuck at 32%. How's the weather for you all? Alpha Max says, we'll need to upgrade my monitor before upgrading my GPU. Boating Dave found me on Amazon too. Cool. Excellent. Getting a lot of new folks in here. Yeah, so you know, I reviewed this fiber optic HDMI cable. And so what I have up in my room upstairs, and one of these days we'll do a stream up there too. So I'm just on this buying spree right now. I just got to get new equipment for things. So I'm going to probably upgrade my TriCaster and move the old one upstairs so I can stream from upstairs or downstairs. And one of the things that I have set up upstairs, I have like this big, it's like a bonus room over the garage. And so I have a little secondary office set up over there. That's where this computer is located. And it's on the other side of the room from the TV. But I have one of these fiber optic HDMI cables. I'll add it to the product carousel on Amazon real quick so you can see what I'm talking about. And what's the name of the thing? HDMI fiber optic. It's great because it's lower latency than doing in-home streaming, for example, because it's a fiber optic cable. There's maybe like 5 or 10 milliseconds of added lag to it. Here it is, the ATCB fiber optic cable. They have a couple different lengths. I'll just add one of them to the stream here so you can see it. And this has worked out really well for me. So it runs, I think I have like a 50-foot cable. And in full disclosure, it came in through the Amazon Vine program. And it went all the way around the room to the TV. So if I want to play a game on the TV on the 4K OLED, I just switch the video to the TV and it's up. It's great. And very little latency. It is just so awesome. And my daughter and I occasionally play No Man's Sky together because she likes to just dig holes on my planet. We have a planet called Bubblepopia. Yeah, I'm going to just reboot this thing because it's just sitting here. Oops, sorry, everybody. So we play it on the big TV. And so I get like 45-ish frames per second on the 1080. So that is, you know what, the hard drive's going here. I'm just going to let it go because it's doing something. I wonder if this was like a big upgrade it's doing because it's just kind of sitting here. This is awful. There's always something during one of these things. All right, well, we'll just let that run. I got some more questions though. Christian on the Amazon chat wants to build a PC to stream mobile games off his iPad. I don't know if that's something you can do. I mean, what I would do if you wanted to just have it on a bigger screen is just hook the iPad up to a TV. Or unless you want, I'm sorry, PC stream. Okay, so you want to stream, I'm assuming here you want to stream from the PC to the iPad. Is that what you're looking to do? If that's the case, you know, just about any NVIDIA GPU will do well because there is a great little app called Moonlight, which I've used quite a bit. And I did a video on it actually. That is free, and it will work with what you would normally do for in-home NVIDIA game streaming. And you don't need a very high-powered computer for that. Just a more recent NVIDIA GTX card will cut it for that. And S. McDonald likes my old retro tech in the background. We're going to do a little new retro tech here if my computer ever finishes updating. We're going to give this like another 5 minutes. I'm nervous because it's stuck at 32%, and the hard drive light is like lit up, and it's pulsing, so it's not like frozen. It's definitely reading and doing something. So we're just going to let that sit for another minute or two. All right, let me roll back up here to the chat. Everyone's talking about the weather as we wait for this thing to finish. Do the 2000 GTX series cards transcode for Plex? I don't know. So what I do know is that the Intel quick sync will take priority over the NVIDIA transcoding, if that's helpful. Oh, there we go. Good. I'm glad I didn't hit the reset button. All right, let's. It just went black on us. Okay, let's see. There we go. Okay, so let me log in real quick. S. McDonald found us on the Amazon homepage too, so that's great. And we are in. Okay, so first step here is to get the drivers upgraded. And what I will do, and by the way, I should probably add this monitor to my product carousel too, because I'm sure you all might be wondering. This is a $200 and something 4K monitor from LG. I bought this a while back because I needed a 4K monitor for testing, and I didn't want to get something terribly expensive. What's nice about it, let me see if I can find it on the list here. What's nice about it is that it was like under $300. Let me get the part number on it real quick. I think this is a LG 24UD58. Yeah, this one here. So I'm going to add it to the stream. So if you're watching, you can see exactly which one I have. So right now it's $288. So I think I actually paid $349 for it when it came out. And it's not HDR, but I think it's good enough, especially for demonstration purposes. It runs at 60 Hertz if you put it in the right mode. So it's really good. S. McDonald is running a 1080 Ti. Does it take a much more powerful motherboard to run a 2080? I don't think so. I think if you've got a 1080 Ti working on your computer, the 2080 should be fine too. The big question is the power supply. I think that's what you really want to be mindful of. All right, so we're going to go and load up the GeForce Experience real quick here. And I like it because I don't have to think about anything. I can just click on stuff. So we're going to click on the GeForce Experience, and hopefully we will see what we get. By the way, another reason I want to upgrade the TriCaster is that when I'm doing 4K, I can actually bring it in. So my current TriCaster, I don't know if it can downscale from 4K like the new ones can, so I've got to check into that. And we have to do a GeForce update. Zam wants to know how old the case is. So this case is about, I got it in 2014, so it's about 6 years old, as is the power supply. All right. And Smoke Monster is talking about we were talking about the weather earlier in San Diego. It's always beautiful in San Diego. It's been getting nice. It's actually been unseasonably warm here, so it's pretty good. R. Delacroix in the Amazon chat. Have you ever looked into Wii U emulation on CMU? I have not. I really want to start playing around with that. Now I have a computer that can really do it at 4K, so that's what I want to get into next. And I'm a little bit frozen here. I wonder what's going on. Let's see. Oh, Steam is causing some trouble. The Steam bootstrapper. I'm just going to exit Steam for the moment and see if that loosens up our bottleneck. It looks like Oculus is doing something in the background too. Maybe it's downloading an update or something, or processing an update. It's like running 140 megabytes per second on the hard drive, so that's got to be something. And GeForce, so I bet you know what's happening here? I bet you the Oculus thing is updating. You can't really see this very well from where you guys sit. But the Oculus thing is updating, and I think that's holding up the install for the GeForce Experience. You can tell I haven't booted this computer up in a little while. And by the way, it looks like we may be having some stream health issues, so let me know if you have any kind of buffering going on. If things get really bad, I'm going to have you all join me on Amazon, but we'll see what happens here. And of course, this is like now that we've got 604 people watching is when everything goes kaput. So let's wait a second on this and we'll get the driver installed. What I might do in the interim here is maybe just jump over to the NVIDIA homepage and just grab the drivers manually and see what happens there. So let's do that real quick. And I haven't used this Corsair keyboard in a while. It's got those cherry red keys, super clicky. So let's go to GeForce drivers, because the GeForce Experience is still waiting its turn here. So, and maybe it may not go any better here, but let's go to GTX 20 series, 2080 Ti. Oh, I found the right card here for me. Okay, so I'll hit OK. And we're just going to get those drivers downloaded and popped in. The good news is that nothing exploded when I turned the power on. And if you get that far, you're in good shape. So I think we want to do this one from February 27th. And we'll just download this while the other stuff is waiting. Yeah, it looks like now the stream health is back up and running again. Usually in the evenings is where things start to go awry on me. I don't know if there's some kids in the neighborhood that are like doing a lot of uploading on the same cable wires. So as many of you know, I struggle with my internet connection here. You know what I think I might do, folks? I may download this driver and then reboot because Windows is acting a little flaky too. And I would bet you this is probably has something to do with drivers. Let's see if we can scooch by here. All right, so that downloaded. Let's see if we can get this to install. And we're going to close out the GeForce experience. And we'll hit our... I don't think I'm unstable here. I think we've just got some driver problems. Because I've seen before how the Windows Explorer can get a little messed up when the video drivers aren't right. I've had that happen to me before. So Ben wants to know if I'm not going to uninstall the current and then, yeah, I'm just going to, yeah, I probably should uninstall the current drivers, but I think if I'm not mistaken, the driver install will do that for us. Let's see. And we'll see what happens here. I'm pretty sure it'll detect the old driver, and if not, we'll uninstall it afterward. So AlphaMax says that is the first time that he has heard of fiber optic HDMI. Yeah, it is really good. I was very skeptical when I tested out that cable. And if you go and look on my channel, I did a full review of it so you can get a good sense as to how it works. And it's been great because it's turned my desktop computer on the other side of the room into a really cool game console, essentially. And it carries the audio over. HDMI CEC works over it, so it must have some electrical, because it's a one-way cable for the video and the audio, but I think it's got some other cables on the pins for doing CEC and some of the other stuff. Yeah, this thing's totally zonked. Let's just reboot, and we'll come back. I think what I'll do is a proper uninstall of the, we'll do an uninstall of the prior driver and see what happens. All right, let's just restart this thing and get back up and running here. So Matthew Ung wants to know what's the length limitations on the cable. That's a good question. I would say, you know, I think the longest one they offer is 100 feet. So that's the longest they offer, but I think you could probably go longer than that. Boss 45 is in from Texas. Brooklyn Cord Cutter is here. I would love to live in Brooklyn, the cord cut, because you get so much stuff over the air. I get nothing over the air here. Yeah, AlphaMax, I would say if you're looking to not drag your tower around, because it's great. I can turn the tower on the other side of the room, and I did this in the video. You gotta check it out. It's on the other side of the room. Just switch it on, and then you point the HDMI. You know, we have the HDMI output. I just do like a single monitor to the TV. In fact, I set up a little batch file that I run when I boot up, and it just dumps it all over to the television. And it works. HDR works, so all your HDR games will play. So it's pretty good. Yeah, and it was crazy, Matthew, because Matthew is saying that the HDMI max length without a repeater is 33 feet. And this is like, I said, there's no way this cable is going to be good. And it was great. It worked great. Every once in a while, it'll glitch for a minute. Like it just, like when there's a resolution change or something, I may have a little glitchiness, but it's been pretty stable throughout. And if you're curious, I've got it linked on my Amazon product carousel if you want to see what that cable is all about. All right, so now we're just waiting for it to restart. Apparently there's another update. I do wonder like the impact on the world economy that these untimely Windows updates do to you. Because you can like put them off, but then when you go to restart, it's like now we're gonna do the deed. So we'll just let this thing update. So I think probably should have booted it up and updated first before. But my assumption upon the last shutdown that I did a couple of days ago was that the update was installed when it turned off, but that apparently is not the case. And what's nuts is my hard drive is running like almost, it's not locked up because I can see some, like the light is flickering a little bit. But what's crazy is that it's got to be pushing a lot of data because that's a fast NVMe drive in there. So in case you're wondering what we're doing here while this is going, we installed this monster card on the system. This is, and I bought this. This is not some advertisement for them. I bought this, and it provided I can get the computer to cooperate, it will be super fast. And as always is the case here on this channel, whenever we do any kind of PC building stuff, nothing ever works right. The good news is that the computer often boots up, but what should be a very fast and methodical process is often less than that. So that is that. So if you want to see what the card looks like, I could show you, I could do a little replay here. Let me just put this on here. I can show you the unboxing. Would you like to watch that real quick, everybody? Let's play that. Here you go. I'll put it up on DDR2 here, and I'll play. Hit record. 3, 2, 1. All right, so let's take this out of the box. Here we go, folks. So we're going to open it up and try to keep the box in pristine condition because I have a feeling a couple of years from now I will be selling this as I tear the box open here. Let's just get it out this way. It's really kind of tight here. And we'll have a look around and see what they include inside the box. We'll do my overhead view here so you can get a better view of it. And this is how you know you're getting something fancy. You've got gold print here. We've got a CD-ROM. I have no CD-ROM player, but we'll download those drivers and some instructions as to how to set it up. So we'll put those aside. I'm sure we might need to refer to those. And then we have a little cable tie thing. And then we've got the card itself. There's not much to see in here, folks, just the card and a little cable tie. Holy mackerel, this thing is a monster. This thing's got to weigh about, probably about 2 or 3 pounds. This is heavy. Like this is pretty bulky. So let's get it out of its thing. Let me just ground myself here and make sure we're not gonna zap anything. I gotta put my wristband on in a minute here. But I'm just gonna open it up and just have a look inside here and see what we've got for the card. And hopefully everything is in good shape. We've had a few live streams over the years where things came broken, so hopefully everything here is in tip-top shape. And let's just get the wrapping undone here. Now this thing has a switch on here, which I'll show you in a second. I was reading the instructions a little bit earlier. So here's the fans. This is a really monster card here. Look at these heat pipes in here. There's like these big, if you can see them. Let's see, there you go. You can see those pipes running through there. This is a monster. Now there's a setting on the top of the card here, and there's a little printed thing. It's hard to see on camera, but it says performance mode or quiet mode. There's an actual physical switch. And of course, I'm going to set mine to performance, which means we might hear a little bit more fan noise. But if you wanted it quieter, you could switch it over to quiet. And it looks like you could just get at that on the top of the card here. Now for power, this might be something I've got to spend some time on here. We've got 2 power connectors here, so this is going to use a lot more juice than my prior cards, so that is something just to keep in mind. I think I've got a 750 watt power supply in my computer now. Hopefully that's enough. So now what we'll do is we'll get my computer out here on the table. I'll let you know what the specs are, and then we'll get this card installed. Banging my head and, oops, hit the mute here. I'm banging my head here. I'm like ready to push that reset button, but that hard drive's still going. So I'm like, probably don't want to do that just yet. So let me show you what my what we have happening here. So I'm always reluctant because it did say there was like another update, even though it says it's not updating. Here, I'll show you what it's doing. So, and it's not like it may be hard to see, but it's not totally solid. It's blinking like it's doing something. So. Like, I don't know if I want to do that. So I'm just going, you know what? I'm just going to do it. Bear the consequences. All right, there we go. Worst comes to worst, folks, we will just reinstall it. Let's see what happens. It's an SSD alpha. Yeah, I've got an NVMe. This is an all SSD machine. So we've got a couple of SATA SSDs on here, and then we've got the one NVMe. So we'll see where it goes. It looks like Show Ho just upgraded, did the same upgrade today, 1080 to 2080 Ti. Cool. So we're on the same page. All right. Well, the good news is the computer came back up, so that's encouraging. And I think what I'm going to do this time is maybe see if we can get the. Oops, wrong camera here. Let's do that. Instead of like throwing the book at this thing, maybe we will uninstall the prior drivers before we do anything else. So let me go into add, remove programs. You can tell I spend too much time on my Mac. I'm probably in the wrong thing also, right? It's, let's see, where's the programs and features? And let's look for the NVIDIA. Okay, so let's get rid of the graphics driver and just install the one that we downloaded. And then we'll do it that way. We're up to 723. Excellent, everybody. What I could do, I'll keep it. I like to show what I'm doing with my hands so you all can see what's going on. What I could try, well, actually I can't do that now because we're uninstalling the graphics driver, but we can maybe try to do some NDI stuff and get the display output through here. So the first thing we're going to do once we get the drivers installed is we are going to do, it looks like that update, whatever it was, is done. We're going to run the 3D Mark test that I ran prior to the graphics card upgrade here, and then we'll take it from there. I wonder what is going on here. So I boot this computer up only like every 2 or 3 weeks. I would say like every week and a half or so it gets booted up and used. So there's probably some junk that's just updating in the background that's holding up all the stuff. But yeah, we are connected on Ethernet, so we are on the network at least. So if there is something for it to do, it will do it. And Shuho here said to do a clean driver install on NVIDIA. Yeah, so I think that's what we're going to do here. And what I have here is the driver from, so the 1080 drivers are different because it's the GTX versus RTX. So I think there's a separate driver here, which I downloaded. So we have that one downloaded. But I don't know what's, like, there's something going on in the system from an update perspective that's kind of preventing installers and uninstallers from running properly. Same thing with the GeForce Experience here. If we tried to load that up, let's go over to NVIDIA, GeForce Experience. You'll see here it's like going to have a problem updating. Well, maybe it's going to work now. Who knows? Let's see. Oh, here we go. Yeah, so see it's preparing to install. It's going to sit there forever. So I don't know what's going on here. But par for the course for my live streams, right, everybody? Something is just not going to work right. How's the weather? So let me hit record. Did we already talk about the weather? All right, so let's take this out of the box. Here we go, folks. So we're going to open it up and try to keep the box in pristine condition. If you're all curious as to what the specs are of this machine, if you go a couple of years from now, I will be selling this as I tear the box open here. Let's get it out this way. It's really kind of tight here. Cancel all this stuff, and we're just going to go remove it from. And we'll have a look around and see what they include inside the box. We'll do my overhead view here so you can get a better view of it. And my hard drive. This is how you know you're getting something fancy. You've got gold print here. We've got a CD-ROM. I have no CD-ROM player, but we'll download those drivers. I'm not getting any reports of how to set it up of the disk running. So we'll put those aside. I'm sure we might need to refer to those. I'm just going to check and see if my. And then we have a little cable tie thing. And then we've got the card itself. There's not much to see in here, folks, just the card and a little cable tie.
So
Holy mackerel, this thing is a monster.
The right click on the
This thing's got to weigh about, probably about 2 or 3 pounds. This is heavy. Like this is pretty bulky.
Sorry,
so let's,
I clicked the button before in that.
All right, let's see here. We're going to just reboot again. I think I'm going to try to go into safe mode. Oh, you know, there's still an update that's pending. This thing's a mess. It's just a total mess. We're just going to, let's just end all these tasks here and force all this stuff out. And this Windows host process, which, okay, that's the, let's end that one too. I just want to get that drive to settle down because I don't know which drive is running because it's not showing me any drive running on the task manager. So what I might do here is shut it down and pull those 2 drives out in case something got screwed up with the SATA cables. Because my hard drive light is still lit up solid, and it looks like it's not totally solid. There's some like read-write activity going on, so very odd. What I have found interesting about these live streams, though, is that people do like tuning in to see me troubleshoot through this stuff. So perhaps there's some entertainment value in the end for this. Let's see. Somebody's asking. Oops, I almost hit that button again. Get a program called DDU Uninstaller. Yeah, we're going to go into safe mode in a minute. The problem is we've got these pending updates, and so if I go to restart it again, it's going to sit here for 4 hours. I wonder if I can postpone those updates. Let me try that real quick and see if I can do that, because I think I'm on Windows Pro. Even that's freezing up. So my guess here is that it's something related to the Windows installer process here with these updates. Because it all seems to be locking up around installing or uninstalling software. And it kills me because the video card's working. We've got stuff on screen, but we're going to go into safe mode here. Let's just do that. And I think I'm going to try to have it shut down here and see what happens. Yeah, Rodsky says, don't show Windows that you're in a rush, otherwise it'll make you wait. I think that's exactly what's going on here. So I think a little bit earlier I missed a super chat from David Parker, so I want to thank you for your super chat. Old Atari Gamer says, I don't think you need this to play, you sure do need this to play Genesis games. Jonathan Martin was asking on the Amazon chat, what key combination did I use to open my task manager? So I did Control-Shift-Escape. I've been doing that since the old days of whatever version of Windows where that first came into play. So Control-Shift-Escape pulls up the task manager. Now here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to let this sit here for a minute because I am seeing, again, I'm seeing disk activity, and it's not just a frozen light. It looks like there's some disk activity here. So something is reading and or writing to the disk, and it could be that update. So we're just going to let that thing do its thing for a minute and figure it out. I just wanted to play with my new toy tonight. That's all I wanted to do, right? So we will wait. Because now I'm committed. So this is what's going to happen. I guarantee this. We're going to be going to at least midnight tonight. It's 10 o'clock right now. And this is going to go to midnight. So yeah, I think what happened here, I'll replay the chain of events. This computer I last booted up on Sunday. And I said, oh, there's an update. I will update and shut down. And I walked away from it thinking that that's what was going to happen. And nope. So I think it did the partial update and then it shut down, and then it's stuck here doing this. So this video is sponsored by Microsoft. Entertain yourself with hours of swirling icons and updates that install when at the least convenient time ever. And I remember back in my IT days, undoubtedly somebody would get an update that would just take them, like it would shut down the whole morning for them. Like that was it. But yeah, that drive light is just lit up solid. Now before it was lit up solid and it actually came back on us. So I think we're just going to let this thing work itself out. So tomorrow, we're going to be live streaming again tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. And that's going to be a 2-hour stream. We're going to go to 3 o'clock. And what I'll be doing is I've got the new Motive Ryzen laptop in, so we're going to play with that. And we're also going to look at the Asus TUF gaming laptop. I'll give you a preview of it while we're sitting here because, you know, I suppose, though, if I just leave this running here, we'll just get more people in on the stream. We're up to like 759 right now, which is like one of the best streams I've ever had. So that's good. I think it's kind of like watching a car race, though, where you watch it for the accidents. Let me show you this laptop, because I think this is a pretty cool laptop. Oops. And this laptop came in on loan from Asus. The video card I bought myself, in case you're wondering. So check out the value packed into this machine. This is what's cool about this thing. So they have there's a number of configurations. This one is a NVIDIA 1660, and it has a Ryzen 7 built in, and an RGB keyboard, and a 1080p 120 hertz display. And what's crazy is that this starts at 650. It's not you won't get a very fast processor for that price, but it's not a bad deal. I mean, you get 120 hertz, the RGB. The only complaint I've got is the fans are super noisy on this thing, but the cooling is excellent. So that's kind of the trade-off. So some are suggesting we do a wipeout and start from scratch. It might be quicker. It might be quicker. Yeah, there is a gap on it. And this is gonna be streamed tomorrow, so I'm not gonna do too much tonight unless we're still waiting on the computer to shut down. Here we can watch the swirling thing through the gap. You know, so it's not like, you know, this metallic, beautiful device, but it's utilitarian and delivers performance. And that's one of the things that you run into with these lower price gaming laptops is that you can get light and skinny and, you know, whatever, or something a little bit bulkier, a little bit noisier, but lower price. And that's what you get here. No, you know, the battery life isn't going to be great on it either. But again, RGB, 1080p, 120 hertz, and this one's got a Ryzen 7 and an NVIDIA combo. That's pretty cool. And it did really well on our thermal testing, too. It wasn't throttling at all. So it's noisy, but there's a reason for it. No USB-C and no Thunderbolt on this, by the way. So that's tomorrow. And then we're going to also start on the Motive thing, too. So let us... I'm going to hit the reset button again, and I'm going to go into safe mode. Is it F8 still to get into safe mode? I haven't done safe mode in a long time. What's this? I think it's F8, right? The good news is with this PC is that this is just like there's nothing on here that I can't afford to not have. You know what I mean? So if we did have to do a fresh install, so be it. I'm not going to lose anything terribly here. And in fact, a lot of my games are on the... oh, all right, I want to do this. How do we get into safe mode again? What's the command? Left shift? Let me see here. Safe mode, Windows 10. All right, let's see. Click Windows, and this is like, this is not good because it makes you think you're working fine, but it's not. Shift key and click Restart. Click on the option. Okay, so let's try this in safe mode now and see what we get. So the Shift key is what you need to do. It used to be F8, and it was for a long time. I haven't had to do this. You know, that's the one thing. I've actually been pretty happy with Windows. I see. Update and restart. That hard drive is just going. I don't know what. I think there's something wrong with one of my drives on here. That's the next thing I'm going to do. Is I might pop those drives out and just have nothing but the NVMe running, because I could have done something with maybe one of the SATA cables when we were working on it before. So let's see. Oh, that was quicker. Okay. So now I'm reading my instructions here. Go to the advanced options. So troubleshoot. Let's see. Troubleshoot, advanced options. And, oh geez, let's see. Startup settings. Okay. Restart to change Windows options. Okay, so let's try, see what happens when I do that. Yamazaki White Sky says, do I have any experience in computer science or engineering? None at all. I am self-taught to the extent that I am, but I've always been a computer nerd and I've liked this stuff. So I've always approached things as a more general consumer with a little bit more of an active, rabid interest. And that's been kind of the deal with me. All right, so we're going to let this thing sit here for a minute. I'm assuming something's happening, although the monitor's off now, so maybe not. No, it's on. Okay, never mind. And that hard drive is going again. I have a feeling if I pop out one of those SATA SSDs, this thing might boot up. And now we're up to 864. Like I said, we're going to be going all night here, folks, because we are stuck in limbo. But I do believe it's one of these SATA drives. So let's do this real quick. I got nothing to lose. And I'm going to pop both of these drives out. So we're going to take this one out. So I have these, I think I showed you all, but let me show you again in case you didn't see it. I've got this really cool enclosure on the front here. Let me pull it up on camera 7 for you. So I've got this cool enclosure, and you can just pop in like these. And if you have the right motherboard, it's hot swappable. You can just pop these SATA drives in and out. And so let me fire it back up again. So I'm curious to see what happens with that drive light now that these drives are out. And I'm just going to leave it on here to see what happens when it boots up. So right now we're at the BIOS screen here. We're going to let that do its thing. And I have a feeling, oh, you know something? That CD-ROM drive is running a little bit too. There it goes. Okay, so we have a disk in here too. Let me take that out. It could be throwing it off too. And I'm just going to hit enter here and just go back in and see if that gets us in better. See, that's better, because before that was just lit up solid. So something happened. Yeah, see that? It wasn't doing that before. It was just lit up solid. So I think there's something flaky with one of the SATA drives, and it could be that here, you can see the light now. It was solid lit up, but Windows was not reporting any disk activity. So I have a suspicion that I did something to one of those SATA cables. So now that those drives are out, there's no connection. So that might lend itself to a better experience here. And now let me pull back here to 7 again. You can see. See, that's I mean, it wasn't doing that before. It was just lit up solid before. So that's encouraging. Okay, so now I'm going to go back here. Oh, wow, 921 now are watching this disaster unfold. The good news, though, again, is that nothing exploded yet. So the way I look at it is if you have no smoke and just a software problem, you're ahead of the game. And let me just go, and I think what we'll do now is let's uninstall that driver again. And let's see what happens there. So we'll just go in and find the NVIDIA driver. Why can't I make the window bigger? See, there's some flaky stuff going on here. I can go bigger that way. But not from the bottom? There it goes. Okay. So let me go look up NVIDIA. And I'm just going to kill the graphics driver here. Now remember, before it was like frozen here. I suspect it won't be frozen now. Although, yeah, the thing's not lit up solid like it was before, so that might be better. And see, I can right-click on the desktop again, which wasn't happening before either. So there we go. Yes. All right. So something's wrong with our SATA connectors. I screwed something up. So I'm going to go in and fix that later. And I think this might be a good opportunity to do a little recording. So I'm going to pull in the camera a little bit here and just get a closer shot of the screen. And I think I might scale up the display here too. All right. Okay, sorry everybody, I missed some chats here. We got a super chat just a second ago from Hot Sauce and Video Games. Thank you. Got some of those Canadian dollars there. So Hot Sauce says, I need to switch on a smoke machine during one of those live stream assemblies on April 1st. That would be kind of fun. Actually, we had it, so for those of you who've been watching me for a while, I did a retro review of the Apple IIgs back here. And wait a second. Okay, we're okay. Never mind. I did a retro review of this Apple IIgs back here. And there's a capacitor that is very fragile on these old Apples, and after like 30 years they explode. And it happened in the middle of the video I was shooting. It just like popped, and then there's smoke everywhere. I thought the thing was on fire. I'm running it out. So I did it. It's happened right around Christmas time. So I did you can look it up on my channel. It's called the Apple IIgs Yule log. So you can watch it. You can watch it smoke. And I thought it was the monitor that blew, so I ran the monitor outside, and then I came back to see that it was the computer just spewing out smoke. But the good thing was it was just the filter cap thing, which is that power supply actually will still work without that filter. Okay, so we're going to do a clean install, everybody says. So let's go over to this. All right, so let me start recording here. Okay, so what we did just a second ago was uninstall the prior NVIDIA drivers that we had. Thankfully, the computer came up. I am having some problems, and I think they might relate to some SATA drives that I have plugged in, so I have to go back and troubleshoot that in a few minutes. But what we're going to do now is a clean install of the 2080 Ti drivers. So I'm going to click OK here, and I should have the option, hopefully, to do that in a minute. And this will hopefully get our 2080 Ti card configured with the correct drivers. And after this is done, we will pick it up with some benchmarks. All right, so let's rename that 307. Yes, I'm going to have some troubleshooting to do with those SATA drives too. Okay, so they said the next, show host says that the next step is the clean install. And Hot Sauce says he bets those filter caps were, yeah, it stunk down here for a couple of days, actually. I had to, like, it was the dead of winter, too. I had to, like, open the windows up and just blow it all out of here. And then my other concern, thankfully this didn't happen, but I have a smoke detector right over my head. And so this was like in the middle, it was like 3 o'clock in the morning. And I was like, this is going to wait, because we have those connected smoke detectors. So if one goes off, they all go off. So it's nuts. Got another super chat from Vinny T. Wants me to run the 3D Mark Time Spy Extreme benchmark. You sure? You got it. Okay. So we'll install the NVIDIA GeForce driver and GeForce Experience. I think what I'll do is I'll zoom in a little bit and walk everybody through. So let me zoom in just a tad here. Wait for that to focus. I think I might just do a second take here on this too. 3, 2, 1. All right, so we are booted up into Windows now, and what I wanted to do is get a free, 3, 2, 1. All right, so we have booted Windows back up. All is good so far. I did have a few issues with one of my hard drives that I have to troubleshoot. Now, the next step is to get the drivers installed. Now, I already uninstalled the drivers that I was running with my 1080, and now we're going to do a clean install of the graphics drivers for the 2080 Ti. I got these off of the NVIDIA website. These are the most recent drivers that came in. And under the options here, I think what I'm going to do is go over to Custom, and I'm going to click on Perform a Clean Installation. And what this will do is restore all of my settings to default, but this will ensure that we get everything going here on a clean slate without having to reinstall Windows, hopefully. So we're going to let this run, and when it's done, we'll get our benchmarking software booted up and see how the card performs versus our old one. Boom, how about that? That was a better take, so I'm going to use that one instead. So we'll say 307 drivers, use this instead. Okay. Drop that in there. Okay, so we'll just do the install here, and once it's uninstalled and reinstalled, we will reboot and we'll be in good shape. Jonathan Martin is on the Amazon chat, so you won't see the system specs. So it's got an i9 9900K installed, and that was our last PC build video. I remember that one actually working much better than this one did, at least from the standpoint of things moving smoothly. So we went from my Haswell processor to that chip, and we kept the 1080. But now, of course, we're installing the 2080 Ti. Up to 986. We're almost to 1,000 here. I think that might be a record for this channel. 1,000 viewers. It's fun how things like you get stuck for an hour and then you really get moving. All right. Edward Cool said he was watching my other video, and now he's here. Welcome. The End of Madness says this whole experience is painfully slow. Yeah, that's why I always try to do a much shorter produced, edited video of the things that take a long time. And this gives you a sense, too, as to what it takes to do the things that we do here on the channel, because there's a lot of stuff that happens behind the scenes. And actually tomorrow morning, or tomorrow afternoon for the stream, that Asus laptop, we've already put in probably about 4 or 5 hours at least on that, if not more. And the last piece of it is that laptop shipped with only a single channel of RAM. So I wanted to do another set of benchmarks in dual channel, which is what we're going to do there. All right, so I'm just going to hit OK to everything here. And we'll let that do its thing. I'm going to reboot, and that way we can make sure we're starting off nice and fresh here. Oddly, it's not prompting me for the update, the system update. All right, so we'll come back to that, and we'll do one more reboot, and we'll go from there. Okay. So the End of Madness is not my fault. You cannot foresee if it would go slow or fast. Yes. Although the rule of thumb for me is that if something can go wrong, it will, especially when it's live. See, if I wasn't live right now, I'd be in bed already. I'd be done. But all right, here we go. So now I bet you that my 3D Mark benchmark is installed on one of these hard drives, so we have to re-download that from Steam. But that shouldn't take too long. Because as bad as my upload is, my download isn't too bad here. All right, so we are back on our screen here. I'm going to log back in. And we're back up. Okay. And by the way, we've crossed the 1,000 threshold. Tyrone wants to know what we're doing. Well, I bought myself a toy. I said, you know what? I've been working hard all year. I'm going to treat myself to a 2080 Ti. So that's what I've put into my computer. And if you were just tuning in, we were watching paint dry for a while as we tried to troubleshoot why Windows wasn't cooperating. Okay, so now I am going to pop into Steam. And I forgot I've got that Game Pass too, so I've got all these great games I can play on here. I have so many games to play and no time to play them. So let's go and load up 3D Mark here. And oh, it looks like I have it installed on the NVMe. Good. So we're going to go and load up a benchmark real quick. Now the first one I'm going to do is I'm going to do the Time Spy first, or not Time Spy, yeah, Time Spy, because this is what I ran before on the 1080, so I just want to get a good apples to apples on this. So let's do that real quick. And this is not the 4K version, but we will get to that because Vinny T wanted me to do that, so we will totally do that. So let me just catch up on my chats here real quick. And my little Mac here, which drives my chat room, is all messed up. It's one of those days. That's okay. We're gonna do just fine here. Yeah, right. So let's do this one first, and then we'll come back and do the other one. Okay. So I left off the last shot on the screen. So I'm just going to start running this now, and then talk about what I'm doing. And I'm putting a video together, so if you don't want to sit with me till 3 o'clock in the morning, which is the likely outcome here, we will have a video up, which will be like 10, 15-ish, maybe even less. That'll be a little bit more concise. Okay, here we go. Now, this is a 1080p demo that is just going to run a little bit. I think it scales it up. And then we'll run the 4K version. Edward Cool is a new sub. Welcome. It's great to have so many watching tonight. This is awesome. Like I said, this is the best stream I've ever had. So I think somebody's waiting for smoke and fire coming out of this computer. And I'll say, too, that the card is pretty quiet so far, but of course we haven't done anything with it yet. So let's see what happens. All right, here we go. So I'm going to just start my recording here. All right, and I'll do my little countdown. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. All right, so we are running the first benchmark now. This is the Time Spy benchmark, and we run this on all of the computers that we test here on the channel. Rarely do you see me actually running it in a video. It's a really cool demo that I wish there was a game around it. It's just a graphic demo here. And when this is done, we'll get a score that'll give us a comparative again against what we had configured on this before. Now this is the 1080p version. We're also going to run the 4K version, and I'm going to do a VR test just to get the numbers here, and then we'll start playing some games and see how it does in real-world applications. All right. This will be 308 Time Spy intro. Seems to be doing okay. I should have enabled the frame rate thing to see exactly what it's running at, but we'll get all that stuff when we're done here. Boris Kaya says, yeah, always at the end of the stream or when we hit a roadblock is when there's people watching in big numbers. That's exactly it. And I think too, I really would love to know how the algorithm works on this, as far as the YouTube algorithm and how it recommends live streams, because it doesn't recommend them the same way it does regular videos. Oh, David Parker says daylight savings time is on Sunday. I had no idea. Ooh, that's going to totally mess me up. right, let's see where we go. So there we go. Super Dodge Boy 93 says he gets notifications. So yeah, I don't know how it, I think if you have them enabled, you'll definitely get notified. And what it will happen too is like for some new subscribers, they'll be playing one of my videos and then it will recommend to tune into the live stream. All right, so now that was the demo and this is the actual test. Now what's encouraging so far is that the card is not very noisy. So I didn't even hear any fans really get louder on the machine here. So even though it's in its performance mode, it's not super noisy. Although I should double check that, shouldn't I? See if I didn't accidentally hit the switch back over. So it's got a hardware switch for performance versus not. So it's hard to see here, but right now this is the 1080p time spy test. It's running at about 94 frames per second. This is at 86. I can tell you already it's a lot faster than it was before. It better be. Showho says that his is quiet too. Good. All right, so that makes me feel better. Trem77 says, after watching Linus, I was the next video. Cool. And I'm guessing it was the live stream, so that's neat. This is running at 99, 96, 100, 120 it just wrapped up at. Cool. All right, and then I think we've got, yeah, a couple more here. So this is the second graphics test. Yamazaki says if you go to the subscription tab and, okay, so if one of your channels is streaming, you'll see it on the subscription tab. Good. They made some changes to the subscription tab on iOS today too, so now you can click on a channel and get all their videos now, which is nice. All right, so now we're running this test, whichever, I forgot which one, I didn't see which one it was. This is running at about 60, so this test is more involved. 70, 75. And now I'm like really nervous that I hit the switch and turned it down to like the lower powered mode, so I'm just going to take a look inside the case in a minute after this is done. Recipe Bob is here and he's going to be building his first computer. Good luck. It's actually a lot more of a forgiving hobby now than it used to be. What I used to hate were those little jumpers you had to get in there. I was watching Lazy Game Reviews the other day, did a PC build or an upgrade of a processor, and he had to do all these, there was like a gazillion jumpers that he had to set. And we're up to about 87 frames per second right here. Seriously? In the middle of a benchmark, you want to, so this is Origin looking to install something in the middle of a benchmark. So we're going to have to run this again. Oh wait, it just finished. And I got an invalid score because that thing popped up right as the test ended. All right, so I can't believe that just happened. Electronic Arts, everybody. So let me see if I can run this without the demo. Result, valid result. Okay, we're going to turn the demo off and just run the benchmarking component. Let's try this again. Seriously, I can't believe that happened. And it's not even loaded. Like it's not sitting here in the taskbar or anything. All right, let me close out. What the heck was that all about? I bet you that was what was causing all of our problems before. Oops, shoot. I don't want to do that now because now I just closed out Steam. Hang on, everybody. We will try again. All right, so let's go back into our Time Spy test again. And again, this time, oh, shoot. No, stop. I don't want to do it now because I don't want to run the demo again. right, hang on here. Oh, it's going right. Oh, good. Okay, it's going right in. So this is graphics test 1. Debbie Nully says 3 a.m. seems optimistic now. Yeah, let's see what happens. Well, hopefully nothing else decides to install with a administrator override thing. All right, let's just let it go here. So we've got the 2080 Ti, in case you're wondering here, from Asus. This is purchased with my own funds, not a freebie or a placement or advertisement. So paid the big bucks, but I wanted the best, or one of the best. And I figured if it's the same brand as my motherboard, it would probably work better. So that's why I went with this one. I did check some of the reviews and stuff. It was fine. Mad Ting wants to know how the in-home game streaming is working. It works fine, but you know what? I'm doing less of it because I got that fiber optic HDMI cable. So now I'm cooking my TV directly up to the computer from the other side of the room. But I do occasionally do the in-home streaming to my Shield in the bedroom. So it's working great. Yeah, we're up to 1103 now. So apparently, like, watching paint dry is more interesting than trying to keep things interesting. So, and it's always good too, because I think what's fun about these PC build videos is that you never know what's going to happen, nor do you ever know what's going to go wrong. And one of the great things about having so much help, and I really mean this sincerely, like having the help of all of you is a really good troubleshooting tool. Because when we were first building this, there was a BIOS setting that I was not aware of that really gave us a boost in performance that was really helpful. So it's great to have people in looking at it. Jari wants to know, am I worried there's going to be a 3080 soon? I am sure there will be one. And then I'll sell this card to one of you and I'll get that one. Really what I said this at the beginning, my real interest here was getting better performance on VR. VR is getting a lot more demanding. I'm trying to get into some, as I mentioned at the outset, I'm looking at possibly taking some flying lessons, like real airplane stuff, and I want to do some VR flight simulation, and my 1080 just was not cutting it. It was okay, but you know, I could, once you start to realize what your VR experience looks like when things get, it does these synthetic frames to smooth out stuff, you start noticing that more. The VR games are getting more demanding, so I really wanted to get a good GPU to pair with the really good CPU that I put in a little while ago. And I thought it'd be a fun stream and a fun video to do. All right, we got the CPU test, and hopefully we won't get the EA installer this time. Jacob wants to know what games I want to play. So I'm thinking of playing some Super Mario Brothers from the NES. That one I really want to do on this one. Super Mario 2, I want to finish that game again for sure. Zelda, no, seriously. From the VR standpoint, I really love No Man's Sky VR, and it was killing my system. So I wanted to get that going better. X-Plane, the new Microsoft Flight Simulator is something I want to play a lot with. And then I've got a Game Pass subscription because I did that special deal they were doing. There we go. They had that special deal they were doing where you could get a you could take your Xbox Gold and then upgrade it. So I went out and bought another like year and a half or 2 years of Gold, and it was like $120, and I got my Game Pass to go for like another 2.5 years. So I was like all in. All right. Yeah, we're gonna do some gameplay in a little bit, everybody. So I'm just gonna record some results here. And I would love to know from all of you, we got a score of 13,319, and we've got an i9 9900K. So I would love to know from you all if that's what I should be getting, because I have no idea what I should be getting. So is that a good score or not? And I'm going to compare it now to what I got on the system before I did the upgrade. So David Parker says that's a nice score. It's certainly the highest score I've ever gotten on that test, so that's a good sign. So I'm going to pull up, and you can't see this right now. Actually, can I get it on here? Yeah, I probably could get it on here. Let me see if I can pull it up on my screen here. And then we'll run the 4K version of this, and then we'll do the VR test, and then we'll load up a game or two. So we'll do like 4 games. How does that sound? And then we'll go from there. And I'm just going to pull up my spreadsheet on here so you can see if I can get it on screen. I got to verify now. Great. All right, you know what? I'll just tell you what the number is. The number and let me go over to my Time Spy. Okay, so by comparison, my gaming PC before with the 1080 got a score of 7,448. So this is like double the score. And I'll be repeating this in a minute. Graphics test 1 is 92.25 frames per second. It was 46.67 before on the 1080. 85.77, so it's pretty much twice as fast on everything. The CPU test is the same as it was. So that's what I got. I'm just going to record this real quick, and then we will record. I'm recording the score, then I'll record the results for the video, and then we will run. Actually, while that's going here, let me just get the score in. I'll start running the other tests so that we can get the 4K version of this run. 82.25, 85.77, and 30.10. Okay. All right, so now I'm going to just record something real quick, everybody. 3, 2, 1. Okay, so the test just concluded, and we got a score initially here of 13,319. Now, I haven't tweaked anything yet. This is just like right after the installation of the hardware and the drivers, which is a very good score. In fact, it's almost twice as fast as what we had before with the 1080 GPU inside of the same case. So the prior score was 7,448. On graphics test 1, we're hitting 92.25 frames per second. Before, it was about 47. Graphics test 2, almost 86 frames per second. Before, it was 41. And because we have the same CPU, the CPU score is the same. Now what I want to do is boot up a VR benchmark and see how it does there. And then we'll start playing some games on this. All right, so I'm just going to log that, and then we're going to get the 4K version of this, the extreme test, because Vinny's been eagerly waiting for me to run that for him. So I'm going to do that real quick. And we're going to run this. I'm going to turn the demo off. Actually, let's turn the demo off, and then we'll just see what the score is when it comes out of that. And I'll do a little play-by-play here of the frame rate as it's going. All right. Let me go back to chat because I missed a lot of chats here as this was going. Yeah, double the score, but triple the price. That's exactly, that's exactly it. Rocky Lot says, I haven't played No Man's Sky yet. I keep thinking about getting it. Yeah, I love, I love the game even when nobody else did, because I just love the notion of just having this spaceship that you can fly around and explore stuff. And so I was really enjoying it initially. I really like it more now. The multiplayer adds a really neat perspective to it. And one of the things that I was doing, there's a great Reddit group for No Man's Sky, and they have a community planet where there's like hundreds of bases that people have set up on it. It's like one of these the weather's really nice on the planet. Okay, so this is the 4K test, and this is running at about 35 to 36 frames per second right now on this first graphics test. And it was really fun. And one night, and what's great too is that all of the neighboring systems in No Man's and that region of space have settlements on it. Because when everybody went to that planet, they then started exploring all the other ones around it in different solar systems. So I had settled down on one planet that was a little less busy, and my daughter and I were playing one night, and some guy like warps in and says, hey, I'm looking for this particular object, and we had one. And so he came and found us on the planet. He got out of his spaceship, and we handed him the thing, and he went off again. And it was such a crazy experience because I hadn't really encountered another player before in the game. But because there were so many people from the Reddit group around that particular system, you were running into people a lot more frequently. They added the new Nexus features. There's some really cool stuff to it. So if you like the Minecraft stuff where you want to build a base, you can do that. There's really no object. They have some story elements. They've got a new story element they just added that I haven't played with yet, where you can build a ship from an egg. Like you grow it in the ground and then the ship is born, which is pretty cool. Robert Schrader wants to know how long my live streams are normally. Usually I go for about an hour and a half, and now we're at about 2 hours. So the PC stuff, this is about 30 frames per second, by the way, right now. The PC stuff usually takes longer, so we usually go 2.5, 3 hours on these. Rodsky Dmitry wants to know, what game genre do I like? So I like a lot of classic games, and it's partly due to my schedule now too. I like games that I can kind of pick up and play. So those are my favorites, especially the ones that are kind of inspired by those old arcade games and the old Atari games and stuff. So I've been playing a lot of Burger Time. There's a new Burger Time game on the Switch, which is a lot of fun. So I've been playing that a lot. Anything with spaceships, especially like space fighter games, I love that stuff. And it kills me that there's not like an excellent fast action arcade space fighter game yet on PC VR. There is a couple that we'll take a look at. So I like those kinds of games. I don't get into like the really involved RPGs that much just because I don't have a lot of time to devote anymore. Between the channel and the kids and all the other stuff, I just can't like to invest the time that I'd like to invest in something like that. So the Broken Past wants to know, how many takes does it usually take to do my voiceovers? It depends. There's some days where I don't do very well with getting the words out, or sometimes one component of a video I'll get really stuck on. What I have found is that if I record a video while I'm live streaming, I actually do better, and I think it's the pressure of everybody watching me do my work that makes it better for me. So that's why I've been doing a little bit more live streaming lately. So that's that. But yeah, usually sometimes it does take me 5 or 10 times. Like I had just the other day, I was doing something, it was taking me forever. So it just depends on how mentally there I am. I don't do any teleprompter stuff, and I don't because it's just more time that it would take to write up a script, so I just kind of wing it. And I used to use a teleprompter in college. So when I was in college, I was the campus weatherman. I knew nothing about weather, but I would just kind of like download the weather report and just spit it back out again. But I found that I was having trouble with the chroma key screen. This is running at this is the sim time, I don't know what this is, but it's running at 88 to 90 milliseconds. But I was finding that I was having a hard time with the chroma key when I was looking at a monitor off camera. So they ended up mapping my video output through the teleprompter, and I could work better with the green screen. And then I really had to start getting better at improvising because of that. And so I've kind of taken that approach to this, because it's hard to look in a camera if you don't do it a lot. And so there was probably about a 15-year gap between the campus weather station and the beginning of my channel. So I had to get used to like looking at a camera and actually having a conversation with body language and everything. But a lot of times you'll see me on some nights, I'll do a take like 5, 10 times, 20 times sometimes. It can go for a while if I'm having a bad night. 3, 2, 1, exactly, Rocky Lot. That's exactly what I do. Got to leave some pre-roll on there. Hikuru-san is eager to try Streets of Rage 4. I am excited for that too. Okay, so Vinny T, your request is fulfilled. 4K Time Spy Extreme. We got a score of 6,204. Graphics test 1, 43 frames per second, 2 at 40.90. And the CPU score 3983. Average simulation time per frame was 87.9 milliseconds. All right, so hopefully I hope I'm pronouncing your name here. Sho Ho just did the very same upgrade I did and has a very similar system spec. So I'm hoping that my score is similar to what you're getting on yours. And if it is, I will feel much better about that. We have a new bronze level member, Joseph Goff. Welcome to the channel. Thank you for your contribution. It helps pay for the card. This was a pricey card. Okay, so now we're done with the 3D Mark stuff. So now we're going to do a quick VR benchmark, and then we're going to load up some games, whichever ones I have installed. And I've got to install, this is like 2 gigs. So let's see where I've got space. It'll throw it on G. I still have like 2 drives in there, so I don't even know what's on these 2. So I got a lot of drives in this system. So we're going to let this install real quick. I'll take a few more questions. Super duper Mark wants to know why Intel and not AMD. The reason was when I bought the Intel chip, that fancy new AMD chip wasn't yet available, but I probably would have done the AMD if it was when I got it. And I used to have a saying when I worked in my I was the IT guy at my family business, so there was an old joke amongst the IT folks that nobody ever got fired for choosing Intel. And I think it was maybe nobody ever got fired for choosing IBM, but people also extended it to Intel. Fred215, have I built my own arcade machine? I haven't, because I'm not very good at building anything. But what I did do, and you're going to see this weekend on the channel, is that I got, see, that's the one thing. I complain about my upstream speed, but my downstream speed is A-okay, because we just downloaded 2 gigs here and we're done already. But what I did do was I got the Legends Ultimate from AT Games, which is their arcade cabinet. And that one kind of competes with the Arcade 1-Up, but they're trying to be a little, well, for them, they're being more open in that they are allowing you to use other stuff with it. So I have a video that's ready to go. I just got to finish the publishing of it, of the Mister. And if Smoke Monster is still here, he can tell you all about the Mister, which is an FPGA open source hardware project for really accurate retro game emulation. And that works with the cabinet by plugging in a USB cable and an HDMI cable, and it's awesome. So that is super, super cool, and you'll see that this weekend. All right, we're going to benchmark the Orange Room benchmark. And I'm really eager to see the result of this test, because really this mission of mine here was to get a proper VR workstation here going. So let this run. I'm just going to refresh my dashboard real quick on YouTube here, because my Mac is like totally screwing up the formatting of the page. So Vinny got a 4207 on Time Spy Extreme, so he thinks it's time to get a new, time for an upgrade. Yeah, I think when you need to get something new, or you want to get a better frame rate. So right now this is getting 190-ish frames per second, which is freaking awesome. I got to hit 90 for my games. That's what I want to hit. Less if I'm using my Oculus Quest headset, because that one runs at like 75 hertz. So this is good stuff. Super duper Mark wants to know, what video editing software do I use? I use Final Cut Pro on the Mac. So I do most of my work on the Mac, and I play my games on the PC. And sometimes I boot my Mac into Windows and run my games on my Mac pretending to be a PC. Smoke Monster finally got the Quest system update. Oh wow, yeah, he hasn't. So he's just getting into the link cable. It's just awesome. And what's nice about the Quest is that it's so easy to set up. All right, so I'm just going to jump over to my test here. Okay, so this is one thing that I'm not concerned about, but I'm confused about, because I got pretty much the same score I was getting before with my gaming rig. So what's the bottleneck? Yeah, this is not right. I should be doing much better than this. I wonder, so I should be getting at least like 13,000 or so. So let's look at the options for this test, because maybe it's not running in full screen. Let me do something here. I'm going to switch my resolution down here. I have a feeling that it might have been the fact that we're at 4K. So let's do that real quick. Maybe on to 1080. And let's run this again. Because that should have done better than that. And I'm thinking maybe it was because it was upscaling. I don't know. It wasn't really upscaling because it was running in a window. Now, granted, the CPU is a big part of this test also, but we should be getting a much better score than what we just got. Yeah, still getting the same frame rate. Now, granted, this is just a benchmark, so this is not indicative of what we might experience in an actual game, but this should run better. I'm just going to record some B-roll footage of the test running here. It says super, but we should be seeing more about like the high end. So what it's saying here is that with a 2080 and the same processor, I should be getting 13,797, and I'm not getting any better than what I was getting before. So I wonder what's going on there. So Byron says it might be a power setting. Default is optimal, but I'm thinking the card isn't getting, yeah. So let's go and look at, and I may just pop the case open here slightly just to have a look, because the card has a physical switch on it that goes between performance and not performance. Now, before, of course, we got a much higher score, but I'm not hearing the card make all that much noise either. So I'm going to look at that switch here. So it is set. Yeah, it's set on performance mode, so the hardware switch is on. Now, I believe there might be some controls for the card from Asus. So let's take a look at that real quick and see what we get there. And this is all part of the troubleshooting process. And that's why you run these benchmarks, is just to get an idea of whether or not you're running close to where you need to be. So let's go back. Let's go load up my Brave browser here. Actually, you know what? Well, let's go and download it. I have the ability to put a disk in the system here, but we're going to go to Asus real quick. And let's take a look and see. Republic of Gamers. We're in the Republic of Gamers. Who's the president of the Republic of Gamers? Do they have one? Let's go to downloads. And I'm guessing there's like rsync. Is that what I want? What do I want? I don't want that. I want I want to know what I've got. So we got the driver. Let's see if there's like a specific driver here, or some kind of. This is a Strix Gaming graphics cards, and this is the Strix 2080 Ti. So I think there might be a utility that'll tell us what the card is set at. Unless it's just going to give us an NVIDIA driver. Okay, this is GPU tweak. So I think this is what we want. So let's download this. And we'll see what that does. Yeah, I use the Brave browser, and I stopped using it though on my Mac. I did a video on it. I really like the Brave browser. However, one of the problems I'm having with it is that it on my Mac, it'll load up when I first boot the Mac up, and then a day or two later it won't run. It'll load up and crash. And I reinstalled it. I mean, I just cleaned it out and reinstalled it on the Mac. Still doing it every time. So I stopped using it on the Mac. I still use it on Windows. And I like it a lot. I like the model that they're putting together for advertising. I think it's really clever. So and someone's talking about the virus that shall not be named. We don't talk about that virus on YouTube. We get demonetized. I talked about it last week. Demonetized. Denied my appeal, too. That was it. All right. So simple mode. We're going to do simple mode. I'm not a professional. I'm just simple, and we can always switch it. All right, so let's reboot here. Hopefully, and this comes up all the time on here, the Sonic Studio. I have no interest in whatever that is. It was part of the motherboard chipset installation. So some folks are saying here the MSI Afterburner utility is better. Yeah, Mitch says his stocks are, yeah, my stocks are getting demonetized also, unfortunately. Hustler66, what advice could I give for the best PC brand to get for high-end gaming like Skyrim or flight sims or racing sims? He has an HP Omen. I'll tell you what, if you're feeling adventurous, I think you should try to build your own. It's kind of the mark of a Jedi, right? To build your own lightsaber or to build your own computer. And by the way, I'm running this just to see what I'm set at here. I want performance, however we can get performance. That's what I want here. So let's see what we have the OC mode at here. So it's set to the max on everything here. So the memory clock, what did I just do? Okay, yeah, so 1350. Yeah, so we're up on everything here. This is gaming. Boost my system. Yeah, I can see why people don't like this thing. This is like really juvenile. We don't want it in silent mode. Let's just optimize the system with one click. I don't want to do this. Oh, this is just more of a, I see what that is, okay. So I don't know why I'm not getting good performance in that VR test. All right, so we're going to go to the NVIDIA control panel. I know it's got to be painful when I don't like respond immediately to the suggestions. I'm sorry, because what happens is I start looking at the screen and then I get fixated on that. So let's go into the NVIDIA control panel, and we want to look for the power settings. So let's go and look at the power settings. Where do you find those? Manage 3D settings, is that where we go? All right, so I need some advice, folks. Manage 3D, and then go to power. Okay. So power management mode. I have it set to optimal power. Should I say prefer maximum performance? I'm guessing that's what I want, right? You guys need to tell me this, because I have no idea what I'm doing right now. So I will say prefer maximum performance. I'm assuming that's what I want. Yes, okay. Perfect. So let's apply that. Yeah, because those fans on that card are not even running that hard either. I mean, it's not, like my old card, I would hear it kick on a little bit more. That card is super quiet. Okay, so we're on maximum performance now. Do I need to reboot? Let me just reboot here and see what happens, because it's always good to reboot. When in doubt, reboot. Okay. And then we should have more. And I'll double check and make sure that max performance is still on when we come back. And then we'll run that VR test again. And then, you know what, we'll just play a couple games and be done with it. Okay, so here we go. We're almost up to 1,200 viewers now, everybody. So Fuse says, am I a gamer? Depends on how you define gamer. I am a casual gamer. But I've been getting into VR a lot, which is part of the oh, see, now this thing's going to load up. I don't want this thing loading up every time. I could just uninstall this, which I'll do later. Let's just get rid of this. I hate when things load and stay loaded. It drives me nuts. Okay, check Windows power settings too. That's a good point. So let's go and check the power settings here. I'm in the wrong power thing. Let's see, additional power settings. Yeah, I got it set to high performance on my plan here. So we should be good there, right? All right, so we're there. Let me just double check the NVIDIA control panel, make sure our settings stuck. And then we'll load that VR mark up again and see what's going on. Because I did get a good score on the regular time spy test, so I almost wonder if there's something like, yeah, we're good on maximum performance, okay. All right, so we're gonna go back to the VR mark here. Yeah, casual gamer with a, well, here's what I look at it. You know, like, I am a gamer in the sense that I play games. I just don't have the time to play the games like I used to play them. I think that's the best way to look at this. So I'm much more selective about the games that I play. And I'm into VR. I think VR is a super awesome development. And it doesn't get a lot of viewership on the channel. I don't think a lot of people are as into VR as I am. But my friend Smoke Monster sure is. So that's good. And more of you will be soon, I think. I think that Oculus Quest is a real game changer. Because you can buy it and get a great VR experience with, you know, with no PC needed. And then if you want to do more, you buy the PC and hook it up to that, and you got yourself a VR headset. You don't need to have light posts and all this other crazy stuff set up. It just works. Shoho only plays VR. See that? It's great stuff. Yeah, the first time I tried VR, I was like, this is like the freaking holodeck. I couldn't believe how good it was. And that was the regular Vive. Yeah, I'm still getting the same frame rate here, everybody. I wonder if there's like something driver related with this test that's throwing us off here. I mean, it's doing great, but it's not doing any better than it was before. I'm seeing a little bit better. It's like in the 200s here, but let's see what the score is when it's done. Yeah, we have brand new drivers on here, so we got the latest and greatest on the NVIDIA homepage. Hot Sauce is wondering if the speed of my RAM might be a bottleneck. It could, but we would have seen a lower score on the other test. Like the other test came in where it should have come in. So I think there's something flaky with this test. Yeah, it's still coming in around where the other one did. And again, they're saying that I should be getting at least this, if not more. So what I wonder here is if, let's do the Blue Room one just for the heck of it. And the other thing I wonder is if maybe I need to connect a headset and have Steam VR running, if maybe it requires that to work. And this is the latest. We just downloaded this, so this is the latest version of that test. So we'll try the more involved test here. This is the Blue Room, and let's see if this one does any better. And here we go. Now you can actually put your headset on and experience this, but you can't control it. So I don't get sick, but I don't know if I want to do that. Yes, computers are very fickle. Although I'll tell you what, they are far less fickle than they used to be. Now this one's running at about 100 frames per second. Yeah, so that's Show was saying let's put on the VR headset and see what happens. Maybe we'll do the VR first, and then we'll play another game or two after that. I think that might be what's going on here. The headset maybe needs to be connected. So I will go get the headset, while this runs. Ugh. Talk amongst yourselves. And let's put this on real quick and see what happens. All right, just in time. Okay, so I'm better than I was before. Okay, this is what we should get. Okay, so here's the breakdown. If I had a Ryzen 9 and a 20, so you could put these in SLI. So if I had an SLI 2 2080 Ti's, I would get this. My score is this, a high-end gaming PC. Yeah, so there's something wrong with that other test. That's what happened here. So we're doing okay. So I think what I might do is kind of come back. I got to record this one segment, and then we'll plug the headset in. And well, you know what? Let's plug the headset in and see if having the headset plugged in makes a difference on that test. Although I think, you know what, let's just run with this because we could do this all night and we know we're okay. So let me just zoom in on the result here a little bit. All right, 3, 2, 1. All right, we did have some trouble with the orange room test getting us a valid result. So I went over to the VR Mark blue room. Actually, I'm going to start again and explain exactly what we were running. 3, 2, 1. Now, we tried the VR Mark orange room test, but we were not getting a valid result. We were seeing scores about the same as my 1080 equipped computer here. So we ran the blue room test from VR Mark, which is a little more involved. And this got us a more accurate score, I think. So by comparison, if we were looking at one of those really fancy Ryzen 9 processors with 2 2080 Ti's in SLI configuration, we would expect a score of about 57, 51. We came in here at about 4,664, which is better than what we would get if we had a 2080 installed. So I'm pretty happy with the score here, and you can see the average frame rate that we were getting on that blue room test. Good stuff. Okay, so now it's time to actually play some games. We're going to start with some VR. I've got my Oculus Quest headset here, and we're going to load up a couple of games and see how they perform. Now, I'm probably going to do just the sit-down VR tonight because I'm sitting down, and I could go over there, but then we'd have to turn everything off and yada yada. So we're going to just do it this way. And let's plug this into my thing here. I've got to just set up my Guardian real quick, and I should be able to show you, get my 2-up going. Because what I could do is just mirror the display. And actually, what I might do instead is load up the NDI, where is it? My NDI scan converter here. This should not impact GPU performance. And what I can do here is get this pumped into the TriCaster now, so I don't have to shoot the screen. So let's go over to input. I'll put on input 7 here, and we'll just select my desktop. And if I now go to camera 7, we've got that coming in over the network, so that'll work. And like I said, I don't think this should impact. Actually, you know what I'm going to do just to test this? So remember the score, 4,664. I'm just going to run this same benchmark real quick. Just bear with me, because I just want to see if the NDI connection here has any impact on performance. So let's just run this again real quick. And then we will get the 2-up view set up. So I'd like for people to see, I'd like for people to see what I'm doing. So we're just going to run that benchmark now, having the NDI out of the computer here. I guess I could hook up the HDMI if we need to, but this looks like it's not impacting anything. Although you're not seeing anything on screen for some reason. What is going on here? That's what you should be seeing, and you're not seeing anything. So maybe the NDI isn't working. Oh, there it goes. It was going. This may not work. I may just hook up the HDMI. Manuel Navarro says, have I tried virtual desktop with my Quest? I haven't yet. I got to play around with that. Cameron Llewellyn is here. Welcome. I've got to get that GTA VR mod for sure. That might be kind of fun to play with. It's funny, the second I switch to the NDI input is when it stops running. Let's see. This will work now because it's... Well, the NDI scan converter isn't working that great, so we're just going to shoot the screen. Okay, so we'll just go back to camera 2. I'll just zoom out a little bit so you can see what I see. Actually, you know what I will do is I can just plug in... I know what I'll do. Hang on, folks. I'm just going to pull in my other device here, and that should work. So we're just going to add this cable to the HDMI connection. I'm just going to switch on my little ingest device over here. And then you'll be able to get... I just want to give you a better view of the screen, just so you can see something that's a little bit more accurate in color and everything. All right, so while that's going, I am going to set up my Guardian. And we'll do a couple of sit-down games here. Now, I have a feeling now that I'm thinking about this that my X-Plane game is not installed on the hard drives that are currently in the system, but I'll double check on that too while we're waiting here. Let's see here. What did I do to my filter here? Oh, games. Here we go. Okay. And you can see how many games I have and don't play. Of course, X-Plane is not on here. All right, so that's going to be an issue. What can I play sitting down here? Let's see. Do we have No Man's Sky on here? Yes, we do have that. Okay, so we can do that one. And let me get the Guardian set up real quick. This is where my hair gets all messed up, but... And I already got a Guardian here. Perfect. So we're good there. Let's make sure my controllers are active. Okay. Let's get my thing adjusted here. Okay, good. Yeah, I got to say, this is a really, the Quest is a really neat headset. And one of the other things they're doing with it now is they do this hand recognition thing. So I have my hands, I can't show you this right now, I wish I could. I have my hands out and it sees my, it sees my fingers perfectly. I don't know if Smoke Monster's tried this yet, but it's remarkable how this works on like a smartphone processor. It's just crazy how good that is. Okay, so we got that going. So now we're going to connect the USB cable to the side here. And you have to have the right VR cable for this. Hopefully the moderators, if there is one here, can get rid of some of the spam that's popping in. We went a good amount of the night here without a spammer jumping in. Smoke Monster, I'm going to anoint you a moderator. And if you see anybody spamming, you can take care of them for me if you don't mind, because I'm going to be in this headset here. You're not going to see anything. Okay. Hello, Jose. Welcome. So let me just get this going. We'll get the PC link established, hopefully. It'd be great if something worked tonight. There we go. And now we're going to load up the Oculus homepage. I got to redo the Guardian, everybody. Hang on a second. Look down at the virtual grid. Okay, so we need to put the controller on the floor. All right. Confirm. I'm going to switch to a stationary boundary. Hit it, confirm again. There we go. Okay. I have a pending hardware issue that is preventing you from starting a VR app. What the heck does that mean? All right. Well, the good news is I am in, and I'm just going to go over here to Steam. We're unable to launch the app at this moment. So I'm in the Oculus screen here, but I have no idea what the problem is. Okay, hang on. For once, it'd be nice for like something just to work when I turn it on. Can that happen tonight? Oh, Oculus has new drivers are required for Oculus. Of course they are. Oculus needs to install new drivers. Here you go, everybody. Okay, let's update the drivers. Just when we thought we were going to play with our new headset here. Smoke Monster says, now that I'm a mod, let me tell you about my line of beauty products. Okay, so let's see where the headset is at the moment. Okay, a software update is recommended for Oculus Link. Please install the update from the About section of the settings in your headset. Okay, so I got to go back in here for a minute, folks. I got to close the app, and hopefully this doesn't break something else. Not now, and I've got to go to About. All right, I'm not on the other one, so I got to go out of here. So let me disconnect the link cable, and then I've got to go over to Settings. How much you want to bet this will be like a 4-hour update? All right, so Settings. No. Settings, see all. And About. Software update. Update now. Plug in device. Device must be plugged in to begin update. So now I got to find a USB cable. Plug this thing in. All right, there's one. Of course, now it's like too short. Because if I plug it into the PC, it goes into the link mode. All right, hang on a minute, everybody. I gotta rejigger something here. Give me 1 second to get the update going, and then hopefully that'll be done. And I'll see what games we can play that don't require a 50 gigabyte install. Oh, great. Okay. Stationary boundary. All right, confirm. And hopefully, and the headset just crashed, I think. Or it's updating, I can't tell. I see nothing but blackness in here, with an occasional thing forming. Come on. All right, I gotta restart the headset, everybody. Oh boy. All right, almost there. See, this is the problem. This is why I don't play games anymore, because every time I go to sit down and play a game on my computer or on some headset or whatever I'm using, there's 1,200 updates, and by the time you're done, it's time to go to bed. And the headset is fully charged, but it won't update unless I plug it in. So hang on 1 second, everybody. From my Guardian here, I'm going to go over to... The cool thing, though, is that this hand control thing is really working well on this. I wish I could show this to you real quick. I'll probably do a video on this at some point. So go to About, and we'll go to Software Update, Update Now. Update. All right, so it's got to download the update. So we'll let that download. And while that's downloading, let's go and see what else we can do. Okay. All right, so let me close Steam VR for now. Let me go over to my games that I have installed on this thing and see what we've got. So we could play. Do I have Doom on here? These are all the VR games. Hang on. Uncategorized. And they changed the Steam interface, so I'm still trying to figure out how that works. Play state, ready to play. Okay. There we go. Okay, so let's look at. So I don't have Doom on here. So here's what I've got. Why don't we load up, let's do like GTA 5 real quick. Let's just start with that. Hey, Smoke Monster, you gotta help me out here. We got all these people spamming us again. Let's go play. I'm gonna get rid of a few of these folks. Oops. I mean, do people actually click on these like, what's the benefit to these people spamming the channel? Like, do the people actually do these things? Okay, so let us play GTA 5. And I'm just going to crank up all the settings on here when we get into it and see how it plays. Gosh, they are really persistent here, aren't they? I'm just going to report them. And we'll say they are unwanted. Yeah, spam bots are here. Unable to locate the Rockstar Games launcher. Please verify your game. What the heck does that mean? Do I have to reinstall this? Is that what I have to do? There it goes. Now it's okay. I mean, seriously, like, this is what it's like these days. Like, it's so frustrating that this is what gaming has become. It's just like one constant update after the other. And why isn't this, must have the wrong cable plugged in. Hang on a second. Bear with me for 1 second, folks. I'm going to try to get you a better view of what I'm looking at here. Although, because we are at 4K, let me switch back into 4K mode here too. Oh boy. Okay, so let's go. I'm going to actually stop doing this because we're going to be 4K. We're going to have to shoot the screen. I don't have a 4K ingest at the moment, but that's why I'm considering going to the new TriCaster. All right, so let me finish installing this stuff, and we'll get this going. Yeah, this is all about 4K on this on the regular games, so we're gonna definitely see what we can get here. And we got to install some new launcher here. I guess that's a new thing they're doing, right? And hopefully when this is done, you can see what's going on here. Okay, we are finished. Handquake has got it right. It's a slow train wreck. This is what, I mean, this is what I think is like crazy about this gaming. Like, it's just, I just want to play a game. That's all I want to do. Boot up a game. Got to update this. This thing has a new launcher. This one's got this or that. Ay, ay, ay. Now, I have some Microsoft games installed too, so let me see what I have. Because I know I don't think I uninstalled it yet. Maybe I did. Hope I didn't. Of course I got rid of that. Shoot, because I had installed earlier, whatchamacallit, Gears of War 5, or whatever the latest one is. So I think I do have a Rockstar account already, but I unlikely know what the password is. Okay, that's good. The game is loading. I do like the fact that the bot recognizes that we need more moderators. I'm surprised YouTube hasn't been able to figure out a way to do something about this. Yeah, we're going to do No Man's Sky in VR, Michael. That's the next thing. You'll definitely. Actually, we can play it in regular mode too. Let's do that. We'll do it in VR and we'll do it in non-VR. Oh, the bots just repeat what you said. Okay, so they're not actually smart enough to have their own commentary. And I also need to pull up the... I'm just going to have my frame rate counter be here from... Actually, you know what? Let's get that NVIDIA frame rate counter up there. So let me just go back over here for a second. I'm going to pull up the GeForce Experience real quick because they have a great little frame rate counter, little frame counter that we can get the frame rate for, and you can all see it. So I gotta log in again. Come on. All right, let me just log in real quick to my NVIDIA account now to get my frame rate counter up. Never-ending adventure. And now I have two-factor authentication, guys, so now I got to, and I'm not complaining because I think two-factor is very important. So we're going to get my two-factor authentication. And we are now in we're almost at 3 hours. We haven't yet gotten a game to run on this computer, by the way. And this is actually a lot like my DOS days, because back in the DOS days, you had to do your boot disk. You had to free up all this memory and try to get all this stuff working. It was always very difficult. All right, we're going to skip the tour. I'm going to do the overlay here. I'm going to put up we're going to do the HUD. We're going to put an FPS counter up here in the upper right-hand corner. Done. Okay. All right. Oh, it should show up here, right? All right, to keep it loaded. Let's see. Let's go into settings. And I may have to keep the GeForce Experience loaded to get that frame counter up here. Okay, good. Okay, we're good. Back to the game. Okay, so let's go back to the game. I'm going to go to Graphics. And we're on DirectX 11. So look at all that video RAM I've got. Isn't that crazy? So let's do that. We got 2160p, well, 60 hertz, output monitor 1. Oops. Let's go over here. Oops. And then let's just crank everything up and see how we do. So we'll do population density there. Very high, high. And sometimes you've got like an ultra setting, you know, like, even like in these games too. Yeah, see, here's exactly what I'm talking about. You have very high, and then one of these options has ultra, right? So let's do NVIDIA for that, I'm guessing. Ultra. What the heck? Just. I don't like motion blur that much. I'm gonna leave that off. In-depth game of field of. Yeah, why not? Ambient occlusion. That one only goes to high. Tessellation, very high. All right, good. And then I just want to make sure that we have VSync is off. Okay. And we got to restart the game. I gotta just love it. Just gotta love it. Hopefully the game is restarting. I'm assuming it is. There it goes. But it's not going full screen for some reason, so we got to fix that. That blurriness is my eyes. That's right, Mitch. Bring back Pong and Pac-Man. See, that's why I like the Mister. So when we did the Mister, we set up the Mister from scratch, which is an open source hardware project for the FPGA stuff. Smoke Monster was there. We set it up from scratch in less time than it's taken for this to all come together. And the worst part is like it's just like one setting, and it's all these different settings. Everything's got to be a setting. Now here's the other thing. I've got this on full screen, but it's not running full screen. It's running in a window right now. Why is that? So I'm going to go windowed, and then yes, and then I'm going to go back to full screen. There we go. Okay, so now let me make sure that it's got all my settings from before. Okay. So we are cranked up here. And I'm going to go and play the story mode. And I should have a save game in here. So Barra says I should turn on MSAA. All right, so maybe I'll do that real quick. You could make a circuit-driven game and have it working faster than tonight's experiment has worked here. But I still have over 1,000 people watching, so that's good. All right, we're still loading up story mode. And you know I should probably connect my game controller also, but where did I put it? So today I cleaned up the office. And in doing so, I've lost everything. I'll plug in my 8BitDo controller here. That'll work. By the way, I love this controller. I don't know if you've ever seen me talk about this before, but it's great. And Dennis makes a very good point, which is the fact that you know, the consoles do really work a lot better. And I'm wondering, you know, when we get around to the Xbox Series X, what that's gonna do to the PC gaming world. I'm very curious about that. This game takes a long time to load. And what I love about my SN30 Pro here is the fact that it works on everything. So I can use it on my Shield. We use it on the Switch all the time. My daughter uses this when we play some of the Switch games. It works on my PC. It works on everything. You just switch the modes around and you're good to go. It works on my Mister too. Yeah, the hard drive is still reading here, so we'll let it kind of run out here for another minute or two. We're just determined not to play any games tonight. I think that's really what it comes down to. The hard drive is still going. It's loading in something. I haven't booted this game up in a while either, so I don't know if there's something, if it's got to do with shaders or whatever. Let's see. Kukuru-san wants to know what happened to the left shoulder button. It seems to be fine here. Take a look. Oops, does that look okay? Oh, well, what happened to the left shoulder button? It fell off. Oh my goodness, there it is. It was on the floor and something must have fallen on it. I'm just having a bad gaming night. All my stuff is falling apart here. The games aren't loading. My computer's freezing up. But we did get a couple of good benchmark scores, so that's good. Yeah, this is a cursed stream. That's probably what's going on. And I don't do this on purpose either. This is just organic dysfunction. I was excited for a second there because the background had disappeared. I mean, it's doing something, right? It looks nice and sharp at 4K. And Stephen McKenzie has it right. The camera is on, which means something is not going to work. Yeah, so the other night, Recipe Bob brings up a very good point. We did a live stream of the cell phone booster, and I expected the stream to take as long as this is taking. And we had it ready in like 20 minutes. It just started working. We plugged it in, and that was it. I don't know if I should just stop this. I mean, the hard drive is loading. It's like reading the disk. Let's see if we can troubleshoot from the... So it's reading things off the disk. So there's something happening. I just wonder if it's got like the shader thing or whatever it's got to do when it first comes up. And I'm not sure if this game is actually on the NVMe. This might be on one of my internal SATA drives. So that could be contributing to this. But I'm seeing disk activity. It's showing that there's data transferring, so I'm just going to let it sit here for a minute. No, we're not streaming to a capture card. We are shooting the screen with my camera because I don't have a 4K capture card. I was going to try to do the NDI thing, but that wasn't working. So we're going to just capture it with a camera shooting the monitor. But I'm seeing some of these still frames that I haven't seen before, and now I think it's cycling back to where it was before. So in the meantime, let me check and see if the Oculus Quest is updated yet, because maybe we can pivot back to that. So the Oculus Quest is still downloading. Come on, you got to be kidding me. All right, we'll let that go. Hey, look at that, the game loaded. Okay, that only took an hour. Okay, so, all right, so we have, oh, where's the stuff? This might be a disk problem, because this has happened before. We're at 113 frames per second, but we have some graphical problems here. I think this might be the drive it's running on. This drive, I think we're having some SATA drive problems, which might be explaining all of these issues. Because if your drive is slow, all right, so we are at 141 frames per second. Let me get into my car here. We'll go drive. Actually, you know what I like to do? I like to blow myself up, and then it'll come back to the daytime. So let me just, I don't want to get on that. Hang on a second here. What happened to my, I think my button is not working on this controller. I can't take out my weapons here for some reason. Let's get in the car. We'll just kill ourselves on the Yeah, so we're running at about 110 frames per second right now. And as you saw, we cranked everything all the way up. And I turned VSync off on this too. Oh, what happened? It's like locked up. I think this button broke. I hate to say it. And if it broke, it's my fault. Because I can't take out my weapon here and start shooting stuff. How do I get the... Hang on a second. Yeah, I think I'm having some SATA issues because this is on a SATA drive. I'm going to turn the MSAA on as well. Oh, great. Yeah, I can't even kill myself in the game. All right, so turning MSAA on with the settings cranked up has brought us down to like 40 frames per second. But now I can shoot my weapon again. So I think we're going to adjust that MSAA real quick and get a slightly better. So let's go down to 4. Okay, so now we're back. Yeah, so now we've got about 70 frames per second. So let's now take out my rocket launcher here and, oops, hang on a second. Let's just do it right like that. And then we'll start the day off fresh. Yes, the controller is fine, thankfully. So the only thing I've turned down is the MSAA. We went from 8x to 4x. And now we're loading again. I think something's up with the SATA controller on this motherboard or something, because these drives are wicked slow right now. And you saw that earlier when we had the other drives installed. So I've got to figure what's going on with this. And I was about to respond to the bot here, but we'll get them out of here. Okay, there we go. All right, here we go. So I'm just going to hit record. All right, and I'm going to just say a little something or two. 3, 2, 1. All right, so the first game we tried out here is GTA 5, and I cranked everything up at 4K. We're shooting the screen here with my camera. And the only thing I turned down was the MSAA setting. We're at 4x versus 8x, and we're running at about 73 to 74 frames per second right now in 4K. The game looks great. This is a 60 hertz monitor, so we don't have the ideal monitor for the amount of frames we're pushing here, but this is really cool to be able to run this game at this frame rate with most of the settings turned up. Again, the only thing we turned down here was the MSAA, which went from 8x to 4x, and that seems to be working a little better. When we had it at 8x, we were getting about 35 to 45 frames per second. So not bad, but certainly a lot better here, running at a very comfortable 78-ish right now, which would be doing really well on my 4K television upstairs. All right. So I think that's good enough to get started. That looks pretty good. No problem, Smoke Monster. We got rid of a few of those bots, but they kept coming back. They're very persistent. 310 GTA 5. Okay, so we're going to add that. Now what I'll do is let's go do a little quick No Man's Sky game just to see how that does. We're going to crank those settings all the way up too. Exit game. But I'm pretty happy there. And what I'm going to do here on No Man's Sky is I'm just going to go into settings here. And it looks like the GeForce settings put everything pretty high, but let me just go and adjust the settings here. We're going to go super quality. Okay, so it's already at the highest settings, I think. So we'll run off of these suggested settings, and then we'll go in and change, just make sure everything is fully cranked up. Steve McKenzie says, I have a lot of kindred spirits here. 10 minutes of load time, 2 minutes of game time. Sounds like my usual game experience too. Yeah, it's like, okay, let's move on to the next one. And this one will take a little bit of time to load also because this will load shaders in on the first run, but then it'll do better. Do not look at how many hours I've played this game, because I've played a lot of hours on this one. I will say that it's funny to see the bots saying these things because they're actually, at least now, just repeating useful things. All right, here we go. We're in already. That was quick. Okay, so this is my cool spaceship. So let me go into the settings real quick. And we'll go to graphics options. So we are on Ultra. And GTAO is ground truth ambient occlusion. Yeah, okay. So we are at like super ultra here. Let me just record that real quick, a little settings screen. And let's do recording a little B-roll here for Jake when he edits later. And I'm going to just call this 311 No Man's Sky settings. Okay. And I want to check the video options to make sure we have VSync off. VSync is on, so we want to turn that off. And we'll apply that. All right. Well, this is like 140. So I finally have a computer that can run everything full speed until something else comes along. There we go. So we are running. So the space area always does better because it's less demanding. So we're going to go down to that planet down there because we're at 106 right now. Again, just like totally maxed out settings. And let me just record here. All right, so now we've got No Man's Sky running at 4K. We've cranked up all the settings here, so it is running at the highest possible settings we can set up in this game. And what we're going to do now is transition from space to a planet, because space usually runs a lot faster. So on my 1080 upstairs on the 4K TV, I could typically get about 60 frames per second, give or take, in space, but on the ground, much less. So we're going to just land on this planet here and see what we get. We're going to try this out in VR in a little bit too. So here we go. And this game is just amazing in VR. And let's just set her down over here. So we've taken a little bit of a dip in frame rate. You saw a little bit of lag there. We're having some disk drive issues on here, hard drive issues that I have to work out. But now that we're on the ground, again, ultra settings, everything maxed. We're about 96 to 100 frames per second here. So this is pretty darn good. And it looks great. And it plays great too. Awesome. So let's go back to the spaceship real quick and just jump back in and see what we get here. And we'll just take off and fly up again. Again, we're about 97 frames per second here. And of course, I've ran out of fuel in my launch thruster. So let's go refuel my launch thruster. At least I have some fuel ready this time. So we'll pop in that and hit the launch button. Did it not go in? I got launch thruster fuel. There we go. And we'll just go back into space real quick and see how this looks. Not bad. Good stuff. So I think we've got some pretty decent frame rates here. Again, super ultra settings at 4K. No problems whatsoever. I should be able to hit the 60 frames per second of my TV upstairs without any problems at all. All right. And we'll quit this game. We'll load up one other thing here and see what I got available. Actually, I have a hard drive nearby that has some games installed on it, so I won't have to go and download anything. So let's try that real quick. All right. Looks like Brian S. is running out of steam. I'm almost there, too. I'm just excited to have this actually running. And I'll tell you what, the fan noise is really quiet. So that's good. Hey, let's load up Battlefront 2. How about we do that? Optimal settings. Let's play that real quick, see how that works. Oh, great. Here's the origin thing. I don't even remember what my password is. All right, hang on a second. I got to go dig through my password manager to get my origin thing. And I got to log into the password manager because I haven't been on there in a while, on this computer at least. Oops. And then I've got to get my two-factor out for that. So let's do that real quick. And there we go. Yeah, I got to get to the bottom of these drives not working right. I'm not sure why that is. And let me just get my password for my Origin game account. What is going on here? All right, Origin. Okay, so let me log into that. How much you want to bet there's an update waiting for me on Battlefront, right? Oh, now I've got to get the email for my verification number. This is why this is gaming now, right? Like, and this is the problem. Like, I'm a casual gamer. I pop in like when I have time. Like on a night like this, I'll pop in for an hour or two and then pop back out. And I'll tell you what else I'm giving up tonight, because Thursday night is when I watch Star Trek Picard, my favorite new show. And I'm giving this up for you all. All right, so now I've got to type in this code here. Okay, another code. Okay, we're making progress, I think. Okay, so now, oh, a required update is, let's see how big this one's going to be. And it's super tiny because it doesn't scale very well in 4K. All right, so let's go back to Steam and see what we've got here on the Steam library. I have a lot of let's see if I can run any of these that are. So I got mostly VR games on here, so that we can't really demo a lot of those yet until the other stupid update is done. So let me go grab my drive that we're using as a secondary device. And where did I put that drive? I saw it earlier. This is what happens when I clean up. I can't find anything. The good news is the Battlefront installation is going to be done in a second here, so we may not have to wait long. Let me see what the chat is looking like here. So Fuse, yeah, they brought back Captain Picard. He's in a brand new show. And I've talked about this before. I think what they've done right on this Picard show is they brought back the legacy character. So if you think about like what Star Wars did, I was okay with Star Wars for a while until like this new movie. Like, I wasn't as offended by The Last Jedi as a lot of people were. I thought it could have been done better, and I think the problem was that what they did in Star Wars is that they didn't have the legacy characters be the leads. And I think that was the big mistake. What they should have done is they should have had the legacy characters be the lead. And that is where they should have went with it, because that's what's working in Picard. He is the lead. There's new cast members, there's new characters, things are different, but he's the same but weathered. You know what I mean? Because he's 79 years old in real life, so he's certainly going to be older than he was in the last movie. But what's nice about it is that, you know, the world around him is different. Like, the world in Star Wars could have been different, but he's still the character you remembered, and he's an exceptional actor. And it didn't hit me on Star Wars until I watched Picard, and I said, you know something? If Luke Skywalker was allowed to do what they did with Picard, they would have been a huge hit. Those sequels, because he could have been the lead of the movie, and they could have had the new characters be the supporting actors, because they could still develop those characters, but as supporting actors to him. And then after that trilogy, then they could run off and do a whole nother like series of movies. They could do another 9 movies with those characters. They're so well done. But I think they screwed it up because they just tried to they really wanted to reboot it. In the sense that they wanted those new characters to be the leads. Like, Daisy Ridley's the lead, and she's a great actress, and I think her character was great. But I think what they made, like I said, like, I think they made the mistake of not having Mark Hamill be the lead, and I think they also made the mistake of having a million different people writing everything, to the point where I felt like the last movie they just made everything up because they fired the guy that was writing it, so there was no consistency to the story. And now they've got the book that just came out, kind of filling in like all the gaps they screwed up in the movie with. That's just a mess. But they should totally do a Luke Skywalker movie. All right, let's see where we're at here. And you know what? That would redeem a lot for me if they give Mark Hamill some time to just be Luke Skywalker again. All right, we've got an 8-minute download. It's such a mess. Where did that hard drive go? Let me go find that drive, because then we can load up a few things. I'm going to check on the Oculus again and see. Let me just see if I can get around not having the update. The Oculus says it's still downloading. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to tell it we're not going to do the update and see if it'll let me use it. I can't imagine them not letting me just use it in link mode if it can work. So let's try this real quick. What I have found with the Quest that's pretty neat is that it remembers your boundaries. So if I sit down here, it does a fixed boundary. If I go over there, it remembers what that area looked like, and then it gives me my room scale. It's pretty wild. I'm telling you, they are doing some amazing stuff with this, and it's very much under the radar. All right, so let's go back here. We're still on Amazon too, by the way, so if you're on Amazon, hello. We're still streaming 3 hours later. All right, I'm going to turn on Oculus Link. I hope it lets me load up something on here. And we're going to set up a stationary boundary. Confirm. Okay. And if this doesn't work right now, we're not going to be able to do the VR tonight. I'll have to shoot that tomorrow. All right, enable link. Access, right, okay. Quest is plugged into PC. Okay, we have to. All right, now I'm getting this usual error that I get on, there we go, enable. All right, here we go. And I'll tell you what I'm seeing in a minute here, and I'll show you some stuff too. So let's load up Steam VR again, see if that'll work. All right, now Steam VR is loading. All right. Finally. Okay, so now I will load up No Man's Sky VR, and we'll see how it does on that. And I need to give you, I guess I could just show you the screen that I'm looking at here. That might be the way to go. And I think I've got this VR thing. And let's launch that in VR mode real quick. And you all should be able to see something on here when it loads up, I think. Let's see what happens. Yeah, there you go. I'm not going to see your chats for a little bit, so be nice to each other. So I'm in the zone here. Now I have this thing that can tell me the frame rate, but let's see what happens here. And I don't know what you all are seeing. Let me see. Oh, good. You see what I see. Can I make this bigger? And you see a frame rate up there too, so that's good because I can't see that. So what I might do is zoom the camera in a little bit so you can get a better view of it. And you might be able to see better. Now let's move that window up. Oh, let me switch over to that screen so you can see what I see. There you go. Well, it looks pretty smooth to me. Yeah, this is feeling pretty darn good. It does sometimes take a little bit to get started. This is my planet that I made with my daughter called Bubblepopia. Oh yeah, this is great. Whoa, I forgot to reverse my controls here. Now, what yeah, a little bit of laggy there, but not bad. What I need to do real quick here, oops, is there is a command. I haven't played this on VR in a while. I'm just going to reverse the controls for a second here. Control options. And you have to do this every time you do this kind of stuff. Left trigger. And graphics options. So we're on enhanced. Right now it's running pretty good. I'm going to check and see what you see for a frame rate there. So it's about 48 frames per second. So it's a lot smooth. You know, it's funny though, even though it's 48 frames per second, it is a heck of a lot smoother. So I wonder if, yeah, this is really much, much better. Now what's amazing is that game that you just saw me playing, you know, this game which you saw me playing a little bit earlier. Uh-oh, there it goes. This is running in VR. It's the same game. But now I can just look all around and interact. So that is cool. All right, I'm going to do one thing real quick here. I'm going to pop out of the game for just a second. Because I've got a little app that runs on my Steam VR that will give me a frame rate that I can see just by looking at my wrist here. So let me see if I can get that loaded real quick. But so far, so good. So let me go find that real quick. I think it's called... I forgot the name of it. I have to reinstall it. Let me check my Steam library real quick. Actually, I can get that from... Let's see, Steam VR Home, where am I in? Okay, there we go. So there is a... All right, there, that's what I'm looking for. So let's see, I gotta remember the name of this thing. So there's like this little thing that's like a little utility. There it is, FPS VR. So let's install that real quick. And then when that installs, this kind of runs as an overlay. You can't see this right now, but I'll tell you about it when I get into the, it installs as like a little overlay on my controller. There it is. So when I pull up just kind of tilt my hand a little bit. So right now we're running at 72 frames per second, which is where we want to be. And now I want to load up No Man's Sky again. And I'm probably going to have to do some more games here. And I need to do also is just adjust the position of this on your screen here. And actually, you will see in the corner there the performance we're getting. So I'll kind of overlay it here so you can kind of see what we're experiencing. All right, there we go. So we can now see the same thing here. So let me go and just play the game real quick. Now this is on those enhanced settings. And right now it's not going to do very well because we're still loading the game up. And I'm probably going to want to record here too. So let me hit the record button and get a little footage going here. All right, there we go. Ooh. So I am in my, where am I? I forgot what planet I'm on. All right, there we go. Let's get back in my ship here. Okay, so we are running currently, yeah, so it's still struggling. And I think a few people mentioned that it's going to struggle a bit. So we're at about 65 frames per second here, average about 48.2. So what I want to do here is maybe adjust the settings. It feels a lot better than my other one though. So my other one runs like far worse than this one does. But that's what I mean. This is what I'm talking about when you're looking at VR. Like it is to do it with a game like this one, it's very involved. So we're going to go and switch everything to standard. Let's apply that. And we're going to have to restart the game, of course. So let's exit and go back in. And we'll see how we do when we come back. So we'll take a visual hit here, but it'll run better. And Shoho has been great all night because he's got the same configuration as I do, running some of the VR games, and he's getting the same results there. So, all right, so let's go back into the game real quick and to see if we can do any better here. But what's funny is that with this game, because it runs so poorly normally, what I'm getting with like that 45 frames per second isn't actually bad. So I'm actually like, it's actually far more playable than it was before on my other card. And I think tomorrow I may have Jake run a few more games on here just to get us some more B-roll. All right, so Jake's got a tough life. He can play all sorts of fun video games here. Let's make sure I'm still recording. Yeah, we're still recording, and I got to put that frames per second counter back in front. There we go. That's a handy utility. And what's nice is that you can look at it in game. I don't know if you can see me looking at it here. Let me see if you can see what I see. Yeah, you don't see it. So I can pull it up just by like looking at the bottom of my controller. I can see the frame rate. All right, so now we turn the graphics down. But I'll tell you what, I'm actually perfectly fine running it at that enhanced setting. That one was looking pretty good to me. All right, we're back here now. Yeah, so now it's at 72. That's what you want. This is full speed for this headset. So let's go over to back to the spaceship here. This is my base, by the way, if you want to see my base. So I can definitely see the graphics aren't as sharp here, but we're hitting the max frame rate of the headset here much better. And the big test will be maybe tomorrow when I put it back upstairs, because I have a Vive Pro, and the Vive Pro, can do 90. So I'm really curious to see how it does with that. Let me get back up there. Where's my ship? Get me on that ship. All right, there we go. Yeah, still at 72. Not bad. And I could never even get close to this on my other one. We'll do a cool shot here. We'll come back down. This is one game where you want to get used to VR before you start playing too much. They do a pretty good job of trying to prevent you from getting sick on it. So cool. Yeah, we're still pretty solid. Yeah, it's looking good. Well, I am pleased. This is what I wanted, and I got it, so that's good. All right, so let's quit to the desktop here. I'll take some chats here. Okay, good stuff. Okay, so that was pretty good. So now I'm back in the menu there, which is why I kind of leveled back off. So that is great. So now I'm going to just turn this off real quick because I'm curious. Maybe I can push our luck with that. Yeah, I think I'm going to do a few more things tomorrow because I'm starting to run out of steam here and I want to get some rest. But let's see if Battlefront is done. We're going to disconnect the Rift here and get out of all the VR stuff. So we're going to do, I need to get my flight simulator. I really want to test the flight simulator because that was something that we wanted to play with. So let me just do a 312 No Man's Sky VR 313. So every VR game has a different thing that they put on screen. So the No Man's Sky thing gives you left and right view. If I was doing, so what we were able to do before is before we were running with the Quest sending its output out, and that works to a point. Actually, I wonder if that works to a point where you can get a really good view of like a single eye, but it requires a Chromecast and it crashes it constantly. So that's part of it. But that was good stuff. Okay, there's a SpaceX launch tomorrow. I'll have to check that out. I love watching SpaceX launches. All right, so let's shut down all the VR here. And let's do a little Battlefront just to get something else. It's not No Man's Sky. And then we'll come back to wrap things up. And I'll do some of the stuff here. So yeah, Craig, that game doesn't let you combine the two. Actually, maybe I'd have to look and see. There might be a way to get a single eye out. I'll have to mess around with that for tomorrow. All right, so here is Battlefront 2. And Shuho says X-Plane doesn't run very smooth for him, so that might be what our experience will be later. All right, so let's let this load up real quick. We are optimizing shaders. I think that's what's been holding us up on a lot of these other games too. I bet you that X-Plane is really choking the CPU also. I'm really eager to see how Microsoft Flight Simulator works with this. And the cool thing is that Microsoft Flight Simulator is going to be free with your Xbox subscription, with your Game Pass subscription. So yes, we have to wait for this line to get all the way over here. And X-Plane is like 60 or 70 gigabytes. One of these drives that I have here, I think it's this one, is just X-Plane. It's not the whole drive, but it's most of it, because there's all these different packs that it downloaded, and the VR thing takes up a little bit of extra space too. But yeah, it is past midnight now. We're on 3.5 hours now since we started this. We've played like 5 games. And it's not the fault of the card, it's all the software. And the fact that I don't load these games up all that often, which is part of it. So you can watch me get my butt kicked here in Battlefront. I'm guessing we should do like one of the ground campaigns. I think the space scenes are a little bit faster. Well, that's not encouraging, is it? What the heck is going on here? 2 frames per second? What is that? What's that all about? I'm hoping that speeds up. Yeah, Shoho says, we've watched me load games for 3.5 hours. Yeah, that's been pretty much the routine tonight. Dual Elite is here. Welcome. I'm hoping that there's something like loading here, which is why it's running so slowly. All right, here we go. I think I've got some I/O issues on this thing, which did not start until I put this card in. So I don't know what's going on. Because this menu is running at 5 frames per second, which it should be doing a little bit better than that. Video. You know what kills me about this game too is that there's no VR mode for the space battles. Like, what's up with that? We need that. All right, everything on Ultra. Yeah, let's just see if maybe it speeds up after the game loads up. So let's go play. I'm just going to do like a single player thing. I don't want to do the campaign though. Yeah, it's an instant action. That's what we're going to do. Okay, so we'll do this one. Do some instant action. Oh, arcade. Huh. I got a feeling it's not going to run that quick. Let's see what happens. So X-Wing has a VR experience, but only on PS4, not on the PC. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to do some work on. Did it crash? It crashed. I think I have to do some work on this computer tomorrow with the SATA drive. Something's not right with these drives, and I don't know what it is. Now, I'm being told that maybe part of the issue is that it's running in DirectX 12, And EA recommends running in DirectX 11, so maybe we'll make that change real quick. It seems like once the menu starts loading, it just goes to a halt. Look at that. It's like, well, that's better than it was before. All right, that seems to be a little better. Okay, so let's try this out real quick. So let me see if, let's see how it runs first, and then we'll go back and maybe turn that setting down. So a single player. Let's do a custom thing here. So game mode. I'm gonna do a Starfighter. We'll do. Let's do a little Yavin 4. How's that? Let's play that. See how that goes. But the menu is running like 30 frames per second, so I'm not encouraged as to what we might end up with here as we get the game loaded. But yes, show the VR is great. And I got to capture some more footage tomorrow with that. Ah. All right, you know what, everybody? I'm getting pooped. I got time tomorrow. We may actually continue this tomorrow because I have... So I'm going to be streaming again tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern time. So that is when I'll be back, and I do need to get some work done on the other thing. So I think what we're going to do is get a few more things captured on this, maybe in the morning, and then we'll pivot over to the laptop, which I do want to shoot as well. So I think that's where we'll end up with this. So thank you all for bearing with me. I hope you enjoyed this rather challenging stream. And the hardware is fine. It's just we've got something going on with the SATA drives, which I have to troubleshoot and work through. And we also have some issues with software updates. These software updates are going to kill me. So I've got to figure out all that is ailing my computer at the moment, and hopefully we'll get all that figured out for tomorrow. So I want to thank a lot of you who stuck around the whole time, which is great. So we're close to 4 hours here. So, but I appreciate everybody tuning in. The good news is the GPU is installed and VR works, and it works exactly how I wanted it to work. Oh, you know what? Let me show you one other thing. Let me show you this real quick, because I think there's some Star Trek fans on here. And this is actually another thing I wanted to try out. So let me just get this headset going here for 1 second. And I'll show you what I'm looking at here in 1 second. Let me just get this going here. Okay, good. We are back in Oculus world. And I'm going to load up Steam VR real quick. And I'll show you what I'm going to show you here. And if you are a Star Trek fan, you can't get this anymore because CBS did a not very nice thing to the people that worked so hard on it. But bear with me for 1 second. I think I have it on my NAS here. Let me just go pull it up real quick. Yes, I'm trying to look. See, if I take this off, it shuts off. So I have to do this to keep it from. And I just have to copy some files over because I don't think I have it on here currently. Let me just look and see real quick. Because I have 2 drives that are not connected to the computer at the moment, and I think one of them, yes, I have that one. Yeah, so it's on the NAS. Let me grab that real quick. Of course, my NAS is not showing up here right now either. What is going on with this thing? Maybe I won't be able to. Oh, I'm on the wrong address. Hang on. There we go. Wrong IP. Okay, so I'm just going to put it on the C drive, which we know is running faster right now. So let me do that real quick. This will just take a second. And while that's going, we may as well do this other one too, because why not? Okay, almost there. And you'll appreciate this in a second. I don't have Tachyon Pulse, so I'll have to try to get that one. Yeah, we're all gonna have neck problems here. So the problem is like the headset like puts itself to sleep if it goes off my head, and I don't know if it doesn't always reconnect properly. All right, here we go. I think you all should appreciate this. And this, unfortunately, let me see, where'd my controller go? All right, let me see, while this is going here, let me see if I can get you a single eye so you don't get totally sick here. I think I can show you. That's weird because it's not. It's weird because it's not actually showing you what I see. All right, well, bear with me here. Okay, so let me just go and just do this real quick. So let me get my other controller out here, and you can see how cool this is. All right. I'll get rid of this screen now. Okay. Here we go. Okay, so now, isn't this awesome? It's the deck, it's the Enterprise. And they've recreated like the whole ship in VR. And you can walk around, I'm not able to walk around at the moment because I'm sitting down, but you can walk around the whole ship and see everything, and then you can hit the, one of the buttons here. One of the buttons lets you select like different things here. You can, I can go like warp 9 there. And the ship will, and we can go sit in the captain's chair maybe. There we go. Oops. And sometimes you fall out of the ship. This is all beta. So there you go. You get the idea. Pretty cool stuff. So that is stage 9. Now another cool thing, you guys are going to keep me up all night. Another neat thing is this one. Let me get back to my, okay, there we go. Yeah, all right. So the other one is this one called Project Stardust. And this is a guy that's just doing this project. There we go. And I'm not sure what you're going to see here. Let's see what happens after it loads up. This one actually gives you a better view. So here you go. If I hit Y on the keyboard, I'll press, I think they made an update here. I haven't played this in a little while. There we go. Here we go. This actually runs a lot better on here too. And then you hear all the stuff from the movie here too. This is great. And this is just some guy doing this. This is not like an official release. They're very hard to hit. And you aim with your head. As counterintuitive as that can be. Then if you turn around, you can see R2-D2 back there and everything. It's pretty cool. So, good stuff. All right. So, I've got to call it a night, everybody, because I am out of steam. But I thought you might all enjoy that. Yeah, this is called Project Stardust Smoke Monster. You can find this. Just go search for it. You'll find it. And you can hear some of the sound that it does too. It's really wild. All right. So we're going to shut her down for now, and I am going to call it a night. And we will have a video of some kind up on this shortly. But thank you all for sticking around for as long as you did. And the good news is this thing's working. We just got to tweak it a little bit. We got some things I got to troubleshoot. But performance-wise, it's good stuff. Okay, I'm going to go just do a quick outro, and I will be back again tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. That's 10 a.m. Pacific. And we'll be on for 2 hours tweaking more stuff. So be back a little bit. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Good night.